Introducing Everest, the world's first customizable and premium mechanical keyboard experience. When designing Everest, we wanted to bring an uncompromised, highly personalized product to the market. We offer you maximum freedom of choice. Let us show you how. Comprised of CNC milled double aluminum faceplates, you'll immediately see and feel the exceptional build quality. Feature-packed, Everest includes a modular media dock and magnetic numpad with programmable color display keys, hot swappable mechanical switches, RGB illumination, and a magnetic palm rest. The media dock with display dial allows you to control your media, adjust and easily switch profiles, check your system info, and more. It will also feature indicator LEDs. No matter if you're a lefty or require the numpad to be on the other side of the keyboard for macro purposes, gamers rejoice. Everest can make it so. Everest isn't just for gamers. It's designed with flexibility and freedom of choice at heart, making it the perfect keyboard for designers, illustrators, editors, and all professional users. Create profiles that remap your keyboard to have your most frequently used commands conveniently bound to keys of your choice. Optimize your workflow every day. Take your performance to the next level. We don't believe in one size fits all. Our highly modular design makes Everest just right for you. With countless personalized numpad, media dock, and palm rest configurations, Everest can be completely custom tailored to fit your needs. Everest supports you on your ascension to peak performance and matches your style.
Hi, I'm Tobias, founder of Mountain. There are a lot of good keyboards on the market, but nothing that truly allows you to completely customize your individual preferences. We've changed that. Using only the finest materials, Mountain's unique design and modularity enables you to create unparalleled level of personalization. We've created a unique product for mechanical keyboard enthusiasts, gamers, streamers, and creative people alike. The Everest keyboard can be what you want, when you need it, through ultimate freedom of choice. You now have the opportunity to be one of the first to get your hands on the most sophisticated feature-packed keyboard ever made. Thank you for supporting us.
Reach your summit with Mountain.
Do you want to do the intro? I can do the intro as well if you want.
Well, we're on, so I'll just run with it. Welcome back. We're back to the Vibrant League. We've got 3 matches up today. You've been seeing them as you've been waiting for us. We've had a couple of difficulties that I believe we have ironed out, though, so we should be smooth sailing from here on out. I guess we just hop into match 1, Disper. We've got Unlimited versus Calories.
Yeah, I would say this is one of the best matches you could have in all the Vibrant League. Calories are probably without any discussion the best team in Tier 2 right now. The Unlimited won the Challenge League last year. So this is like the El Clasico of Tier 2, right?
Yeah. It's a kind of like a passing of the torch, I guess you could say. You've got the Unlimited, who had a very good year last year, kind of started to stagnate, we were talking a bit earlier. And then you've got Calories, who've had this sort of meteoric rise. I guess a fun little tidbit, they have already matched the total number of wins Unlimited have in about a third of the time. They've only been operational since, I think, June as that team, and they've already got 38 wins. So a really very sort of fast rise for Calories here. So it should be a good match, but I think if I'm already giving a prediction, I think it might not be as close as maybe you'd expect because of just the trajectory of these two teams.
Yeah, agreed. It's actually an interesting matchup because Calories, you can kind of see Calories as the child of Tenstar, of the old Tenstar roster, which made the second place in Challenge League last year. So Unlimited versus Tenstar used to be the final of Challenge League last year, and now we have Calories against Unlimited, which is kind of, the follow-up for this. Calories instead of Tenstar, slightly different roster, slightly different staff, but still, as you said, an incredible team. I'm not sure, we can already go into the map bands if you want.
Yep, looking at it here, you can see now we'll be on Clubhouse. So this is we were talking about the stats. Both these teams by far their favorite and their best map. They're both in those double digits, I believe 14 and 15 wins for both of them. So this is going to be the sort of best showing you'd expect from both these teams. They're on very comfortable ground. It should be going even. It should be a pretty close match. But still, I can't help but have a bit of a sour taste in my mouth just looking at the recent results for Unlimited. They haven't sort of been great since we got out of sort of Challenger League after they couldn't qualify just due to the sort of change in the overall sort of esports global scheme. And that might have sort of hit them a bit mentally. They might have come across a bit of a block ever since they just couldn't qualify for Tier 1. Sure, they still have that advantage. They can, I believe they get a bye straight into LCQ, so they're only a couple best of threes away from a major. But it does seem like this has hit them pretty hard.
Yeah, agreed. And even looking at Clubhouse itself, while it is their favorite map from a presence standpoint, it's not the best map from a win rate standpoint. That would be Cafe. Especially looking at the recent results, 7-8 against Mirror and the Reds, 8-7 against Mirror and the Reds, 8-7 against Oka Corp, and a 5-7 against Class of 22. So very close results, even a loss in there against arguably the weakest of the 3 teams. It might be an underwhelming performance for the Unlimited if they don't show up today.
Yeah, and this is their chance to take down the top dog. Calories should be topping this group. They should be going very far, sort of beyond the groups as well. We've been saying they are this new sort of prodigy team. They have had this great rise. They should be winning this. But if Unlimited can take them down, that might be what they need to get their confidence back. So it's a very crucial match for them.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're looking at Unlimited and the roster they have, you can't argue with the experience on that roster either. Like Rorus, Exodus, Hypex, Skyper, IWI, all incredible players who basically were on the edge of Tier 1 for a long time. And it's the same with Calories. I like to call, like with friends, I like to call Calories Tier 1 Academy in a way. Since from Tenstar, 3 players got promoted into Tier 1. And now on Calories, you have Oscar, Lambek, and Grizzly, Skitty, who all either already were in Tier 1, got Tier 1 offers, or are soon probably or possibly to be in Tier 1. So both rosters have very good probabilities to being in Tier 1. Like, if we have like a Tier 1 match, let's say in an alternate universe, this would be a Tier 1 match right now.
Yeah, it would be. And even sort of extending to the staff of Calories, Kenny was definitely there from the start. Obviously, with him being brought in by ITB, I'm not sure necessarily how much he still has an impact with that team. But we've also got Rodeo, who was that old Kavana coach as well. So that's more sort of experience to help this roster that, as you said, some of them haven't really been in Tier 1 before, but with that kind of guiding hand, it's definitely allowing them to unlock that potential. And it's been part of the reason why they've just done so well recently.
Yeah, and it's the same on Unlimited, actually. The coach is still the same, but they used to have Archer Omix as an analyst who used to be an M&M before that, who now moved over to OCE to the ex-Wildcard roster. So they also lost some of their staff. So yeah, it's a very even playing field on paper. We both already said that maybe in practice it won't be, but on paper this is very even playing field.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't believe we have the lobby quite ready yet, so I guess predictions then. I guess I'll start. I think, although this is kind of bigged up as a very crucial match, I do just think I'm a sucker for recency bias. I think Calories are probably going to take this. Not even an OT. I think it's probably going to be around 7-3, 7-4. I just think Calories are looking that strong at the moment. They've topped open qual leaderboards, so they've got a little bit to hide going into those playoffs, but I don't think they shouldn't even need to hide too much. Unlimited just been on a bit of a downward spiral as of late, and I think Calories should take this as a pretty easy win.
Yeah, agreed. For me, it depends a bit on the operator bands. Like Clubhouse is one of the last maps where you can kind of do something with the operator bands, and all the other maps you're kind of limited to either comfort bans, very specific counter bans these days, or just banning the default for defenders. But on Clubhouse, you can still just take out a Vibana, force the attackers, especially in the basement, to go with an Ace or a Thermite or Harpy charges, and that makes a lot of attacks on Clubhouse much more difficult. So, in my opinion, the Unlimited could throw a curveball here, ban out the Ibana, go for some risky op bans, and just pray to whatever god they believe in or not, and just try to make this as close as possible as they start on the defense. So maybe get a 3-3, get a 4-2 on with very risky operator bans, and then just pray that you carry that momentum over into the second half and you manage to close it out. But I would still say probably should be Calories closing out 7-3, 7-4.
Yeah, I think if Calories just play default Siege, it should lean to them. But obviously, you have the presence of those cheeky bans, those pocket strats you can try and employ to almost sort of steal a round away. But it's going to be difficult for them. It's not going to be a case of playing normal. I think if they do fall in the trap of maybe not being that confident of sort of trying to play to what they know, it's going to go very badly for them. So I do think, as you said, they need to just sort of bite the bullet, go for the risk, and try and just bring out all the stops to get rid of, or even just get a point off of Calories, really. It doesn't even have to be a win, but if you get 6-6, I'd say that's a pretty good result for the Unlimited here, because you're taking a point off who is likely going to be the top dog in the group. Obviously, I believe it's a tie between them and Blue Jays at the moment, so that's going to be another match later down the line that's really going to probably determine who actually does control this entire group. But until then, you're going to be very happy with any points you get off Calories.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite story for Calories, probably. They have an LCQ to play, an LCQ qualifier to play soon. Even if like Counter-Strike is not like the favorite strat in the current meta, they still probably don't want to bring out the biggest pocket strats. They don't want to be super risky. They kind of just want to play down their normal play, so they want to go chill on this. Just play basic, play safe, maybe go for some aggressive peaks. So I'm going to think that Calories are going to play this very default, but very loose. So I think it's going to be a good clash of styles if the Unlimited are actually like going in hard and trying to win this. If the Unlimited are just kind of sleepy, not showing up, it could be a very quick story.
Yeah, very close to get this matchup. I guess for a bit of context, we're referencing these open calls a lot and these LCQ. Calories, I believe, next weekend, they're going to be put in a bracket. They're going to have to win 4 best of 3s, I think, to qualify to LCQ. It might only be 2. I think it is top 4. So they're going to be against Team Valor at first, a French sort of tier 3 team that have quite a lot of names. I believe that's where Cactus is currently playing as well. So that's a very much sort of veteran player of the French scene. After that, they fight either Wild or Heroic, and that's Wild Multigaming, the Hungarian team, I believe. So already potentially a big sort of hurdle there, being that tier 1 team. So there's definitely stuff to hide. They definitely don't want to sort of get too exhausted playing in Vibrant, because obviously a major qualification spot, you would say, is more important there. So we might be seeing them sort of hiding a few things, especially with this map ban taking us to Clubhouse, a map they've played plenty of times because they just don't want to reveal any other strats for those important matches.
Yeah, exactly. It's a game of exhaustion with the current system that you have in tier 3 and tier 2. It's not like you have one challenge you kind of prepare for all year. It's more of you jump from tournament to tournament, and you can constantly have to play lack of scrims. You have to be ready to play long qualifiers, 8 hours a day, and burnout is a very real risk in this environment. So for Calories, I would get for that reason why they would go into this very chill, kind of actually like not care about the results. I'm not sure. I think they're going to make like playoffs or anyway. So they can go into the chill if they can take a loss. For them, it's just kind of let's not burn ourselves out.
Yeah, I guess for the Unlimited side as well, obviously we talked about them. They won Challenger Leagues. They have a very significant boost. They skip all the Open qualifiers, skip the Open qualifier playoffs, and head straight to the LCQ where they'll be against, at the very least, 3 teams from the European League. So I believe that is already guaranteed to be Wild and ITB, as they lost their first round matches, and then one of those remaining 4. So it could be Wolves, BDS, G2, or M&M. So they also have a lot to play for there. They have a lot to potentially hide, but they have that sort of safety net, as in they don't have to play the Open qualifier playoffs. They've only got 3 best of 3s in total ahead of them, whereas when you're looking at calories, that's potentially 7 if they want to get that first place spot in the Open qualifier playoffs, then head to LCQ. So it's a lot less work for Unlimited, but that might almost be a bit of a trap because they don't have as many officials to sort of hone in their skill. Vibrant, really, I think, is one of the only leagues they're actually playing in. So Calories definitely have that advantage as well, as they're just likely going to be sort of the more warmed up team.
Yeah, for sure. For me, it's going to be all about momentum here. I think we're going into the game right now as we speak, but it's going to be all about momentum and, kind of exhaustion in this match. Who has more energy, who has more passion put into this. And we are going into Clubhouse now.
Yep, Club, as we were talking about, very sort of even ground for both these teams. They like playing it a lot. They have double-digit wins for both of them, so it should be a very sort of known quantity for both of them as we head into this ban phase. You were saying you want some very sort of different bans, especially from the side of Unlimited. You think that's the only real way they can start to get a point here, and unfortunately, so far, not really delivering. Hibana ban, very sort of standing on Club just because of the amount of hatch play there. So maybe they aren't being as spicy as you wanted.
It's, in my opinion, a good ban. We talked about curve balls here being thrown around. And if you start defense, banning out Hibanas are obviously going to make basement very, very strong to play. It kind of limits the attackers to kitchen, blue takes, to dirt takes. Which are going to be even more difficult with Ying being banned, which makes it even funnier to attack basement now. So Dynamite have a good chance to get at least 2 rounds on the basement. If they play the cards where they get the basement rounds, and then out of the other 4 rounds, you just need to win 1 or 2. Like if 50% win rate in the other sides, you already get a 4-2 split. And then we talked about carrying momentum over to the second half. So I think even if Hibana's kind of default on Club, it's the right band to go with if you want to like risk like winning it on the first half. Like if they go now 1-5 in the defense or 2-4, they are already done for.
Yeah, that tends to be the way things sort of go with Siege. Not that many rounds, even though it's more than sort of ranked. You've got double the rounds on each side. Still, if you take an early loss, it can be very hard. So Unlimited, they want to be taking this early advantage. They go to that basement, as you said. It should be fairly hard to deal with. Kaid's on the board, that Hibana and Ying double ban there, really making it difficult to actually get access to the site and then dislodge those defenders as well. So Unlimited, they really want to win this round. They want to get that first on the board. If not, it could very much mess with their game plan here, and that can put a lot of pressure on them. So we might see sort of a bit of a relaxed defense here, I'd say. They don't want to get too risky at the start, just so they can cash in what should be a free win here. But still, if you get relaxed, if you sort of take the foot off the gas, Calories could easily swarm over them here. So it's a difficult balancing act that Unlimited really have to sort of master here, because losing this round here on what should be a very favored site could be just disastrous in the sort of grand scheme of things.
Yeah, as I said, if Calories go in swinging, you win this round, it's like the match, like this could be the one round that decides the match. If like Calories win this round, it's going to be looking very bad already with the rest of them. Looking on the defense, they're going for like a very loose playstyle here. Good mix of entry denial and actual fragging power these days. Legion obviously a home favorite on Oscar. Also tries to go in Creek. Gets punished immediately by the Legion that we just talked about. He's going to be waiting right here in Adam for the next peak, but for now Kylie is kind of taking it slow after losing the opening engagement.
Yeah, that's your range hard breach destroyed as well. Obviously, Hibana being banned, you only got Ace as that option, so the church wall likely going to be staying closed unless they want to get very, very sort of exposed right up to it to try and open it up. So immediately we're seeing, as a result of that, you already see Hypex going away. Skipper, unfortunately, also tried to escape, but is caught by Grizzly, evening out that man count as Vitusha, still above on their second floor, can still cause problems here. With an open window, he wants to peek it. That could end up being his demise, but luckily for him, Calories seem to have rotated elsewhere. This is looking more like a blue-sided take.
Yeah, the Unlimited slowly rotating back to side. They know they can't lose many players. If they actually like keep roaming here, they give the best shot to Calories to take out these roamers, get the man advantage, and then close the round out despite the opening death on the ace. That's why Calories kind of securing the flanks. Now they have the intel that probably they can start focusing towards the side. Looking at the clock, they're actually timing-wise fine. The biggest issue is just what you've already addressed. It's the hard breach. At least you don't need to raise any hard breach gauges on dirt, but it means you kind of have to limit yourself to bar and blue hedge here, which they've already started. One hard breach charge already went out. I assume the bar hedge is opened by now, and Kaneo possibly looking at a second pick for Calories. Here sees the angle and gets the kill onto Legion.
Yeah, beautiful play from Kaneo there, just holding his fire, waiting till he gets a clean shot as Rorik somehow caught off guard, but takes down Grizzly. That TCSG, so powerful in every shot, and he still controls Moto here, has that shotgun on hand. Nitro as well, I believe Hatch is fried above him, so there's no chance of anyone being able to dislodge him without just taking a heads-on gunfight, as now Utility starts pouring in from all sides. A drop even comes down from Kaneo, but he's got the Fuser. He can't get too risky. That's on Skitty, and he gets one. Rorik, though, immediately responds to the land base. So still 2 versus 2 here, even man count, but now site control given over to the attack, somewhat armory in their hands. Kaneo getting that plant down, a bit of a rotate attempted, but it's going to be caught by Skitty here. It's all in Vitusha really on this backstab, misses his shots. 2 versus 2 still, with the plant going down and Rorik down as well. This should be a Calories round as Vitusha taken incredibly low, only on MP7, no optic either, just going for these iron sight swings, trying to get anything, but he can't. Skitty finishes out, and Calories get that important round 1, that pivotal round we were saying on this basement defense.
And that's a very tough start. Like, if we look at this on paper, we see that Ace was given away as an opening pick. We saw some aggressive plays from Thatcher that weren't exactly necessary. And we look at 2 picks being given away like that. A basement attack where you don't have any range hard breach, where Hibana spent, and you're still winning. That raises a lot of questions about what Unlimited was doing this round, and how Unlimited is going to perform in the rest of this game already. If Calories is able to pull this round back, it's going to be very tough to win any of the other rounds. So they at least need to get 1 basement round in now. If they lose this consecutive round on basement, for me the map's already going to be over.
Yeah, and it's such a good start as well. You have Hypex taking out the only range hard breach in Oscar on that ace, but I think maybe the call to retreat was just a bit too premature there. Skipper's an incredible player. He's got incredible gun skill, so he can definitely sort of hold out for himself, but instead he instantly seemed to want to already retreat to site after that pick. And he was just simply caught off guard by Grizzly, who now, interestingly, is on that RAM, the newest operator in Siege. So going to potentially see how useful they really can be. I'm going to imagine we'll be seeing a drone on that kitchen corridor. It's a very sort of long, linear piece of soft destruction that can be used, and it can definitely deal with some of those pesky defender positions. But honestly, with Siege, aside from the defenders really, but whenever we get a new attacker, it seems like they never really end up finding a lot of good play. It seems like they either die early, or they're just brought for a gun, like Grim. But we've seen Grim get a bit of resurgence, and we're seeing a very fast push on Tunnel here. Look at this, Kaneo already creeping up, about to meet IWI head on.
Yeah, no goal canisters covering this time. Monty is going to be isolated here by the smoke, tries to find the engagement. The smoke slowly retreating out. The Legion's mines are going to be good help, and Monty tries to engage even further. Has to retreat back out though, as Vitish, I'm trying to pronounce the name right, falls to Skitty here, giving an opening advantage to Calories.
Kaneo just turning his back there. I'm really not sure what happened there, and it's allowed, well, almost with Unlimited to get that man advantage back, but immediately the rest of those gunners and Calories sort of spring into life, taking out those other defenders, and we're left in a very dire situation. Not even a minute into this action phase either, as it's just Hypex and Rorik alone on site there as these Calories attackers can begin to set up, begin to formulate a push here. Obviously, they've lost that Monty, but they've still got plenty of other control. Hatch opens a crucial fight that unfortunately does not go the way of Unlimited, and with Rorik taken down, it's 1v3 for Hypex on the Legion. So many angles, takes down one, almost takes down a second onto that sledge, but not quite. Hypex taken down, and Calories win 2 attacks on the basement.
incredibly strong, and I like the adaptation. They don't go for the second take, the same take in the second time in a row. They adapt for a Monty take through dirt, immediately pays off a lot of quick pressure onto the defense. You could kind of see that, obviously, Unlimited tried to adapt. They changed some of the ops when they went over to Umai to catch the beast, and Calories, they switched off the beast, they switched off the Grim, they went onto Monty, went for a much more direct take, a lot of pressure on the defense, and Unlimited kind of crumbled under the pressure in this situation. They are going for a side change already. We talked about Basement obviously being the strongest side, with Hibana not being in play, and despite that, they've lost 2 rounds, and they are forced to go to Jim at this point, to go to their second favorite side, just in the hopes of getting at least 1 round on the board now.
Yep. I honestly just think maybe the sort of way to solve this for Unlimited, put a lot of investment into Skipper. He's shown to be an incredible player, and this is a site, especially sort of thinking around red stairs, if you just have one good player there with a bit of utility protecting him, you can seriously damage the attacking push by just taking out players, taking out utility, being an overall just nuisance on that roam clear. If you put Skipper in that position, he will likely frag out. He is an incredibly gifted player in the scene on this roster who's really behind a lot of the success they have had. So I think if your overall sort of game plan of a big roam and wasting time isn't working, just try investing in a player. Obviously, it's not a consistent sort of key to success, but you're already 2-0 down on your strongest site. You've got to start experimenting now, and I think that is just going to be the sort of cause, the way they can try and solve this problem.
Again, possibly looking for any open engagements here. If they can again get the opening frag, it would go a long way in helping them. You can see Calories already being on the roof, opening up the hatches. They've done a spectacular job of applying pressure to Unlimited early on and kind of, you know, avoiding these adaptations by just not giving them the time, giving them the freedom. And thus allows Calories trying to open up this Jacuzzi Breach very quickly, but the Bandit gets it. Actually, 1 thermocharge being gone out of the hands of Kanye, who's just standing in front of the wall, waiting for the support now, trying to flash out the Bandit so he can possibly go for the next one. And Bandit rotated away anyway, so the match should be, the wall should be free real estate anyway.
Yep, but that's both of your thermite charges used now. Sure, you've got those ace charges, but they just don't quite hit the same. Not as big of a hole, usually requiring a vault in, which puts you at an immediate disadvantage as Rorik. He goes for a pick, it's red, but surprisingly no damage actually goes to either player as they're hunting for the kill. Rorik taken down, Calories just spring into life and have already got CC and Cash basically under their control. Hypix tries to retake. He could realistically get back into Cash here, but I'm not sure he has the confidence to. He'd rather just stick in construction with a castle barricade behind him, at least offering a bit of protection, but still in a very risky spot here as Calories have already sort of flexed their map control here. They've already gotten CC Cash without the need of a thermite breach, so what was starting to be a pretty good defense with that bandit trick starting to look like it really isn't as valuable as we first thought, as Skyty gets another. Calories, they're just walking over them here.
Skipper now trying to get a kill on the breach. That's a good pick. Finds the next one onto Nerk, taking down both Clear Jacuzzi and main stairs, but Oscar and Lambe are fighting back, each getting one of their own, having to face the castle now, but Oscar wins the final engagement, and Calories getting the 3rd round in a row.
It's sort of a case of what do you change now, really? Do you try and go for that weaker side of CC and Cash? Do you just sort of, I guess, keep butting your head against the wall, reattempting Gym Bedroom? Either way, it seems like things just going very, very badly for Unlimited. We said they need to get a good start to try and keep that momentum in the attacks, and so far the entire opposite has happened. Calories 3-0 up, haven't really broken a sweat in any of these rounds either. It's not been down to clutches or close engagement, aside from round 1 where it got relatively even down to a 2v2. Calories have just sort of been storming away with it. It's an incredibly dire situation as Unlimited have chosen to go to that 3rd site here, so maybe already kind of spelling their demise. We could be seeing a 4-0 half for Calories. This is technically the sort of weakest of that 3-site rotation. So again, unless one player goes huge, I just don't think Unlimited really have a chance here. We saw sort of flashes of greatness from Skipper there in that previous round when he was left alone. Got those 2 incredibly crucial picks, but the rest of his team dying around him are just around the map. You can't really rely on that. It's just a very difficult situation here. I'm not sure sort of what your thoughts would be if you were on the side of Unlimited here, but I'm at a bit of a sort of mental block as to what they can do. Calories are just completely outclassing them.
Yeah, it's also Calories are completely controlling the pace of the round every round. Okay, that's nice use of the free cam to go to the drone hole, yeah. But my kind of thoughts are, Calories have a dangerous mix right now. They have a lot of gun skill, and they simply seem to not care about every single engagement. Like, Grizzly jumping in through the CCTV window was, some people would call it brain dead, but it's great. It's that kind of explosiveness that makes Unlimited second guess every move they make. They have to hold every window now. They know these guys don't care. They're going to jump in, they're going to face you. You have to hold anything. And that kind of gets you out of your own game. That kind of, they are in your head now. And you need to get back in your game. You need to focus on yourself, focus on how you're going to counter that, instead of just reacting to them all the time. And that's what Unlimited is doing. They are only reacting to Calories. Calories, it's hard to react to them since they are unpredictable, they are explosive, and they just rely on their gun skill.
Yep, and Skipper goes for a run out, immediately cut down. Not a great player there at all. It seemed like no intel either. Obviously, the Solace, you tend to look for people on cams, people on diffuser, but there was absolutely no one there. So Skipper already wasting his life there. The Solace down key as well. It's going to make denying those plants a lot harder, really, and it's left Unlimited in a 3v5. They've still got this garage control here, but with only one player sort of holding ground everywhere else, it's going to be increasingly difficult for them to maintain this map control, as it's looking like they really just want to try and steal away a free pick, either on the breach or in garage here, to try and even things out. Rorik, I believe, spotted out, shoots the drone, a player in garage as well. That's Lambe, gets one, gets not quite two, actually. Vitusha alive on half health, but still, players in garage taking down even lower. Vitusha's going to have to really make a swing here to try and stay alive, as Bumcheeks just keep coming out on that gap, but still manages to stay alive here on such low health. Can he try and steal away a pick? No, he can't, as Lambe actually up for the ace. Only one more required, but Rorik takes him down. 1v3, and Grizzly shuts things out. Calories get their fourth here as Unlimited, just looking truly sad on Clubhouse.
Yeah, now it's slowly getting desperate. How are you going to react to this? I would normally think a tactical timeout would be long overdue at this point. But for a tactical timeout, you need to have a solution. You need to have something in mind. Even if you just take the timeout to think about it, it would be good. It seems like they just tried some blind aggression here, which in my opinion is not the play. It just seems they're getting outclassed strategically and gun skill wise and playstyle wise in every regard of the game. They're just getting outclassed by Calories. So you kind of have two options. Either you go like very basic now, you just try to play very basic, close to each other, play for refrags, just play very basic playstyle, or you go very aggressive as a team, which they kind of just tried. I just didn't see specifically how they did it, and I don't think CCTV is the side to go aggressive on either, as that is a side that's very heavily relies on you holding all these power positions. So I would honestly like to either, make this decision now, play very passive, play very close together, just play like a default long roam, burn time, play close together, or just go very aggressive on the roam now, face them head on early on, get these opening kills like you did first round. But they need to make some sort of action instead of just reacting every round.
Yeah, it seems like, again, with Unlimited, that aggression is misplaced a lot of the rounds, and even when it does work out, it's often just a single player, right?
Yeah.
You can't trade if that player dies. So Hypex,
Exactly.
Sure, he got one, then he ran away and just left Skipper on his own, and all the way back in round one, he died. Skipper, the only player jumping out, getting aggressive at that particular point in the round, previously, also just died in his own. So it's going to be, if Unlimited can learn from that, they can still definitely pull away too here. I guess another question I have is, if we go 5-0, do you reckon Unlimited just pull out the bar? Because it's the only thing they haven't shown. Just sort of bet it all on that sort of not even tertiary site and just see if it works out here, because I think that might be the only way you can try and get around on the board here, is everywhere else, as we've said, they just look totally outclassed.
I mean, if I was down 5-0 on Clubhouse after banning Hibana, I would get myself as close to the alcohol as possible as well, to be honest.
True. True. Very true.
Vitusha just kind of worming with Warden here, very close to Lambe. Could be a quick engagement here, but they kind of have to fight over this one window now. They kind of can sense each other at this point, and Vitusha is going to give his position away. Both are just calling for support now, calling for their teammates to help them out to get either side an opening kill. But Lambe is going to be the first to fall here, and Vitusha has to react to Skitty pushing up the stairs, and they get two openings. This could be the run round they've been needing all the along. Oscar now trying to get aggressive. He knows they have to get aggressive and get some picks. They can't let these rumors get back to side. They can't play against a total 3v5 as they start engaging against each other, but neither can close it out just yet. And there comes Vitusha once again, taking down Oscar, and it's just Kenny and Grizzly left, and 2v5. They might just try to hit the side. They might just try to go for something aggressive, but it's looking very desperate for them in this round.
Yeah, Unlimited finally seeing the value in pairing up your roamers. We saw that I believe it was Vitusha in a bad situation in CC. Rorik comes along, gets that, well, not even a trade, just gets the pick. Then, bad situation in Jim. Immediately, another player turns around. They're using that man advantage in those positions well, and it's letting them get these picks, so it has left Calories in a very bad spot here. 2v5. Grizzly has a player close on that master bedroom stairs. He can still maybe get one, but Flash goes out. They've both given away their positions now with shots being fired by Hypex, and I think he's just going to walk away. He doesn't need to give his life here as Grizzly takes more damage from that TCSG of Rorik and Modo. Deterred, running back up as I'm not sure what Hypex does there. I'm not really sure what the plan was, but still 1v4 is elsewhere. Kaneo taken down by Skipper. It's all on Grizzly here. His position known. Players creeping around on both floors trying to get a pick on him. Vitusha, though, very low on health. Might not want to sacrifice his life here because a 1v3 is a lot more doable, but still, he's just keeping his feet steady, only sticking around in bar, not pushing any closer. A kill does actually go the way onto Rorik now as Vitusha has crept closer. Very low health on the Warden. If a single shot maybe from this SMG-12 can take him down, but Vitusha's just too quick on the draw. Takes him down, and finally, Unlimited. They get around on the board on their clubhouse defense, but it might still just be too late.
Yeah. At last, they do get a basement round, even if it had very little to do with the Hibana ban.
Yep.
They get one on the board, and at the end of the day, it's a shooter. Your gunfights can win around, and in this case, they got a good, quick opening engagement. They supported each other very well, in my opinion. Like you could see the Kate moving in, you could see Vitusha supporting the Legion there. They did what we talked about. They played well together. They played close to each other. They supported each other, and they immediately got one round on the board. One round on the board. Yeah, I said that right. Now we're moving over to CCTV, and as I said, CCTV has been, kind of in the motion meta-wise, where like depending on the meta, it's either very popular or very unpopular side. That's exactly because it's difficult to get very aggressive. It's difficult to show a lot of initiative, and depending on the meta, there's like a strength with all the power positions you can play out on. Just force the attackers into all these mini games, or it's a weakness where you kind of leave the attackers all the initiative to do whatever they want. I'm kind of undecided whether it's the side they would want to go to against Calories, as I feel like what it just did, where they extended a lot into the top floor, played out very well for them, but we're gonna see if I'm wrong or right here.
Yeah, I think if they sort of learn from what happened in that previous round and they play together, I think sort of CC does benefit that. You can tend to play more bunched together, playing around Lounge, Garage, and CC and Cash, whereas Gym Bedroom does necessitate sort of a fully extended second floor roam, which makes it much more difficult to get those trades. And from the looks of things, the Limited are sticking close, sticking in pairs at least around these sort of hot spots. 2 people on the rafters, 2 on site, 1 playing Lounge. So certainly the potential for those refrags, which is really the only thing that saved them in that last round, is Skipper. He's actually in quite of a cheeky spot here on these blue stairs, on the Thorn as well, likely just playing for that 1.5 scope, making her a very lethal operator. Still aware of potential for a flank here, as it looks like Calories are just primarily focusing on this blue stairs. Actually hopped into Adam here, Skydee, ready to cook some nades, but I'm not sure if he's aware that Skipper's actually lingering around this position. Still takes down Vitusha. That's one of those Garage players destroyed, and now there's no real chance for a trade if you push into Garage here, so that could severely limit Unlimited's defensive plan here. But Skipper, fair play to him, takes down that Yana, gets 2 in fact. The Thorn on fire here in the start of round 6.
He can bring this round back all by himself if he plays this card right here. Kalu is now in a man disadvantage. They know they kind of have to take Lounge control at this point. Slowly moving in terms of Lumber. He just needs to look out. He's not holding the red stairs at all. He gets punished for it immediately by the Frost standing right there. Now it's just Kaneo and Oscar. Skipper basically single-handedly bringing the round back from the dead with those 2 kills. And again, Kaneo kind of finding himself in the 4v2, 2v4.
Yep, they've got that breach open on plat at least, but the player there immediately taken down, as I say. That's all on Kaneo now. At least gets 1 down onto the catwalk, but still in a very bad position to try and secure that kill. He's maybe just baiting. Not really much you can do in this round, not really much that really rests on this round either. It's going to be still a 2-4 in favor of Calories, so a good half nonetheless. Kaneo, nothing to really save either, as he just goes up those Garage stairs, taken down by Ivy on the Frost, and the Limited, I'm not going to say they salvaged that half, but they've definitely shown signs of life at the end of their defensive endeavors. The question is, can they sort of keep the ball rolling on the attack?
Yeah, and it seemed like very simple solutions at the end of the day. This round, it wasn't even them just like fighting close to each other necessarily. It was literally just Skipper go brrr for a few kills. And that's what I said, like, it's a shooter. even if the strategy isn't working, if the playstyle isn't working, if you hit your shots, who can argue with that? And 2-4 is not the split you want to leave your defense on, for sure. But at least gives you a shot to pull this game into overtime.
And it's 2 in a row. I guess the big thing you can kind of take away, the silver lining, is that it's 2 in a row. You have a bit of momentum building here as you hop onto your attack. If you can get 3 in a row, suddenly things start to look even better. There are only 1 round separating these teams. But Calories are on the defense now. They've got this basement defense here. It should be a kind of a written off as a defensive win already based on his bans, right? Ying, Hibana taken off the board. You don't really need to put in a lot of effort wasting that much time on the roam here. As long as the majority of your team stays alive within the first sort of minute and a half, you should be winning this on the other side of Calories. So it's going to be a very difficult task for Unlimited here. They're bringing the Grim, they're bringing Ace, and I presume hard breach charges, potentially even 2 sets of hard breach charges on the Grim and the Buck, so they can definitely deal with the hatch play. But these players from Calories are so good on the gun skill that they need to be very aware of this roam.
I feel like this first round is going to decide a lot. It's going to show us each placer that's been chosen for the second half. And if we see Calories coming out swinging, kind of bring the same playstyle, I don't see a lot of chances for the Unlimited. But if the Unlimited look very clean here, very coordinated, playing close to each other, having a good good step-by-step program, playing for the win conditions, this could also go a long way into their favor. And Skitty just kind of giving a call away there, facing the CC breach and getting punished immediately by the sledge of Skipper.
Yep, I mean, I guess Calories have been match, but still, that's just such a waste of a pick there, to be honest. There's no real intel there, no one to get the trade either. It's forced Oscar up those stairs, and he's caught there. Hypex and Ivy get 2, 5v2 now, Unlimited. They might make it 3 in a row. Lamb is still on this roam here, can potentially get aggressive, take down 1, but if he gets traded out, and he does, 1v5 now. Poor old Grizzly alone on site, on the mirror, no Nitro in hand, still a mirror in pocket actually. Getting a bit aggressive, trying to make a play, trying to make efforts to even out this man count, but he's got 4 ahead of him if he wants to get into the 1v1, so still plenty of work for the player here, actually retreating back now just doesn't seem worthy, and Skipper gets the pick. That's a flawless for Unlimited. And from your face there, Disper, you're not too pleased with that game plan from Calories.
No, not at all. I liked how they played very loose on the attack, and it was like a good mix of a good game plan, like good basic strategies mixed with very explosive plays. But at this point, it just seemed like only explosive plays. They kind of left out the first part. But I think a round like this is a good wake-up call. Like, you lose 2 rounds on your attacks, it's fine. It's kind of fine. Then you go on your first defense, you go to basement, and you lose flawlessly. At this point, you kind of wake up. So I'm hoping Calories kind of look again at what they just did. And they can actually like play the same strat. Go through the whole same setup. Just a slightly different decision making, and everything can be fine. You can kind of see it from these operator picks. Very similar operator lineup coming out from them. I think they're literally just going to say, let's stop trolling. And we got this round.
Yeah, Skydie was a bit too eager to get into a gunfight that previous round, just peeking out into the sledge breach. Again, not really sure what the game plan was there, just hungry for kills, but you'd think that some of these players, at least, like Grizzly, would basically tell them, right, don't do that again, then we can just win. Because it should be a very strong setup here on the basement with these bans as well. Again, it's just a case of don't get too aggressive. Don't sort of rely solely on this explosive play. Be a bit disciplined at points. I mean, we're even seeing now a bit more of a sustained roam presence up here. 2 players around CC at the moment, but it might just be Oscar putting down that utility to help his teammate. SkyT just needs to stay alive. That Solace is such an oppressive presence throughout this sort of current patch that if you just keep that player alive, that puts so much pressure on the attacking team, and it can be just do wonders for burning down the clock. As Hypex already taking a lot of damage. I think that's a spawn peak from Oscar on the SMG-11 there. As Skydie once again, can he pass the patience test this time? Skipper opening up that wall, just holding some angles. Skydie, all you've got to do is hold your ground. Don't peek, man, please.
Yeah, I was gonna go give like a lesson on like Solus on how she's a surprisingly how surprisingly regular and frequently she's an opening pick. But the way this game is going, I'm going to try to make it quick. Basically, if you look at the data, you can kind of see that looking at the first time of engagement, Solus is around like 110 seconds, meaning she has by far the earliest engagement times of any operator in T1. Comparing that to like, let's say a Legion, those are all going to be at like, more going to be at like on a like solo test is around like 120, and like a Legion is more allowed 80 seconds in most cases. So it's like a very big difference in how early they engage, and it kind of has to do with her utility. And as I said, I have to cut it short as first opening pick kind of comes out here, finding the mute of Oscar. Skipper immediately going for the next kill, and the dangerous wallbang also coming out. A lot of pressure coming onto Calories from all sides, and they start falling one by one as Skitty also goes down. And it's only one roamer left upstairs. It's 0 roamers. It's 0 roamers as Ken Neo goes down as well. And look who we have. Grizzly. 1v5. Let's go.
Still got that mirror window in pocket as well, by the way, so he's clearly waiting for some kind of call that's never going to happen on these rounds because the rest of his team just dies too early. Bit of teabagging in front of the drone there as it's a second flawless round in a row for Unlimited. They've tied it up 4-4. Calories looking honestly quite woeful on these basement defenses here, so a real sort of change in the game plan is needed, and I imagine we aren't going to be seeing a three-peat on the basement. Calories should be going to one of those second floor sites. We see the bandits, so immediately, yep. Bedroom and gym here. Very strong sites, so they still have potential here, but they just sort of... They need to stay together on that roam, I think. We saw Skitty was nowhere near sort of CC and Cash that round. He was playing around sort of gym, playing around construction. That left Oscar alone. He can't be traded, and that was clearly where the sort of first bit of action was happening, but either way, Calories chose to leave him alone on that sort of island off to try and at least waste time. Didn't waste much time at all, was taken down, and from there, just due to the window play and due to the angles being opened up by the Sledge and Buck, all those defenders on that top floor just got boxed off from each other, got caught in these cross angles, just destroyed. So this time, it's a case of really you just need to not let that happen. Just keep your defenders in more kind of reinforced positions. Keep them ideally with someone to get a trade as well. Have two people play around Cash and CC just in case Unlimited go for something a bit aggressive, just to catch you off guard. But still, they should be favoured here, and their gun skill looked much better sort of against Unlimited on their attacks. So I don't see why it should really change here. I guess the other point to make is that they need to not let this get in their heads. Sure, you've lost your advantage, but you're still only 2 rounds into your defense. You've got 4 other rounds left. You can easily take this match in regulation. They just need to not get too sort of hung up on those 2 losses.
Yeah, for sure. And we can kind of start talking about the parallels here. 2 opening rounds lost on basement and then going to gym. We've seen that on both teams so far, as Calories have to retreat to the top floor to gym as well. And Skipper here with a nice angle, opening up the hatch and trying to get a cheeky call on a defender standing in deep dodgy, but nobody exposed himself so far. He's just patiently waiting here for any opening engagement so far, where the rest of the team is just setting up the attacks. Here comes the hard recharge now. The breach charge, the normal one. But as you can see, no defender being left vulnerable here, even though there's one pushing close and Grizzly actually gets the kill himself. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was gonna make a point there that that's a very nice angle, but I've only seen a few teams use it, and one of those teams is Unlimited. They use it a lot. And I guess Grizzly just read into that perfectly, goes for the pre-fight, knows exactly what their plan was, and that's that pocket pick of the glass immediately taken out. You've still got your hard breach, you've still got your Montagne, so not the end of the world. You can still sort of pressure these remaining defenders, but the glass seemed to be the real sort of playmaker there. It seemed to be the sort of linchpin of one of their executes, because these other operators are very kind of standard. You've got no nades here, they're very much sort of almost like the filler ops. It seemed like everything was around Skipper in this round, and him being the opening death here doesn't bode well for the rest of Unlimited. So they've not got that much time left. Still 70 seconds, so a decent amount, but over half that round used, and with no real damage done to the defense here, they've still got all their positions. It seems like this might just be a Hail Mary push, to be honest.
Yeah, it's gonna be difficult for them with the glass being gone. They still have the smokes in the pocket of Monty, but they're not gonna be very helpful without the glass. At least they can cover up some line of sights, as they're focusing very heavily on Jacuzzi so far. I think they have the Jacuzzi breach open so far. He comes to the EMP out. Hopefully, probably trying to open the mirror here with the ace charge, and they are able to. Meanwhile, Monty's moving into gym, but Mirror of the Oscar of Mirror actually gets the kill here onto Hypex. Monty barely staying alive, moving in while Oscar's taking down, and 2 kills coming out from the Thatcher here, just quickly moving in, and now it's just Skitty suddenly. They've turned it around. It's again a 1v2 for the defense. But a clutch maybe more possible this round than the last, as he only has to take out one attacker to be left out alone with the Monty. Monty going for the engagement now. Gets punished for it. Skinny going for the next, and he gets him as well. What a round.
That was, okay, sometimes I describe rounds as silly. That was a silly round. I have no idea how Unlimited even had a chance of winning that. If he went above and beyond on that Thatcher there, just getting kill after kill. Then he, I believe, backpedaled into a Frostmat, or it might have been Vitusha dropping into a Frostmat. Either way, man advantage was immediately cut off a bit there. And then I think the real problem with that attack there and the execute was Rorik had the diffuser. I believe it's Ivy was the last man standing there. If he had diffuser, that is probably going to be a Unlimited round, because you can immediately start applying pressure to that remaining defender with the threat of the diffuser going down, because then things get really, really difficult. Instead, they had to go for that kill because of who had the case there, and that allowed somehow this guy to go in and get those picks. I'm not sure how most of that played out. I don't know how these different players were allowed to get those multi-kills, but it happened. And Calories had sort of left that round in a better position than they were going into it. They've finally broken that 4-round sort of slump here. They're back winning, so only 1 round away from match point now. Calories looking to be in a pretty good spot here if they can just get this CC defense going well. The only bad thing, though, after this, they're probably going to go back to basement, and that site has seemed very cursed for the defense so far.
That Limited heard me say this game's already over when it was like 0-3 on their defenses, and they said, bet. Turned it around. They are 1 round away from actually getting to the 5-5, but Calories, the only defense they've won so far was based on a clutch. It's not looking too great for them either here. So I think it's like, again, a very even playing field from what we've seen. And for me, at least, this match has been much more exciting than I was afraid it would be. I have no clue who's going to win this now.
Yeah, like it should be Calories, but these defenses from both teams, they seem to have lost that kind of touch on their attack. It seems almost like, I guess, an attacker-sided club. I hate really saying that because it's just down to teams, but still, attacker-sided. Skipper immediately opens up this round with a pick through that reverse repel through, I believe, the open mirror window, but Kaneo responds onto Hypix. This mirror window, a real point of contention for both teams, as Grizzly is going to try and re-aggress here. He pre-fires that mirror window. No one currently peeking, as it looks like this Maverick trick is happening. It's very risky from Rorik, but it might have just worked here. Despite all of the pre-placed sort of holes by the defense, they might be able to get a clean breach through there, but still, things looking rather interesting as Skydie on this dock playing around lounge, not without support, as Lambe coming back towards site. Rorik now on the other side of the map as well. I'm not sure how that sort of main breach went. I'm going to assume from the fact that the Maverick is now out of position that they did get the wall open, but still a very bizarre start to the round.
Yeah. Do you want to know what like my secret MVP of this round has been so far? It's not just Kaneo getting an opening kill, but it's the trash talk. It took a few rounds to get going, but the trash talk in chat has already been great. That's always my favorite in these kind of matches. And Grizzly getting traded here. Both sides getting 1 kill of their own, but defense left in the advantage, and Skitty in a very dangerous position here. He can easily pick an attacker off here if he peeks at the right time, but if he peeks at the wrong time, he's just gonna get caught out by that Sledge, who's cooking an 8 as we speak, and he throws it vertically. He has no idea that the dog is in here, waiting like a predator for his prey. Moving in now, sees the Sledge, but the Sledge did not see him, and it's only left to Rorik now outside the main breach, who's gonna do nothing but flash himself so far, as he tries to slowly move in with the defender, peeking him from the right and from the cash door. Lambert gets the final kill and pushes Calorie to match point.
Yeah, and it seems like Calories have gotten that sort of confidence back. It seemed maybe we were just seeing the sort of effects of a mental rut there when they lost those 4 rounds, because now they've seemed much better in those engagements, much better teamwork in that round. So now back to their winning ways on match point now, can easily take it 7-4, but back to basement for the defense. Calories did not have a good run of things at all, getting approximately 0 kills in 2 defenses of the basement. So they've got to change their ways here. They've got to maintain this good standard, or else they risk Unlimited creeping ever closer to match point.
Yeah, they definitely found their groove. Basement might just be cursed. They can win this time around. This would be like the perfect finish for the game if they won on a basement defense now. That would be a spectacular finish. Can you just kind of chilling in there on camps, watching some TikToks, you know, Generation Z, you kind of watch some TikToks, play some Subway Surfers, kind of chilling in the prep phase. We all get it.
Yeah. I've been back on Jetpack Joyride, which is a mobile game I haven't played in years, but I've been back on that. I've been corrupted by the Gen Z ways. But anyway,
Jetpack Joyride Gen Z, pretty sure that game is so old.
Well, when Gen Z is a term that doesn't gens and like millennials, no one ever uses it in the proper way.
Yeah.
It defines like a specific kind of birth point. No one knows what that is. Gen Z is like a thing that I don't understand. Even though I am a member of Gen Z, so I probably should. But
it's like Gen Z is it's not a time, it's a vibe, you know?
Yeah. Calories. They're going to try this basement defense, and look at this. Very much a kind of a bunkery defense. I believe we might even just have all 5 there, which is something I'm surprised that neither team really chose to do with the bans. Ying is that kind of bunker buster operator that just can't be brought this time. So it would make sense that teams would at least try a defense like this. Only Oscar on that top floor just trying to cause a bit of chaos. Everyone else firmly in the sights. This might just be the adaptation that Calories need to take this map down.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. Well, I was thinking about this right between these rounds, why nobody is just turtled so far with Ibana and Ying both being gone. But Calories seem to have made the decision now to kind of turtle. Except for Oscar, who just might be the, you know, the wild element in here. And that's it with the wild element in here. As Hypex takes him out, and I mean, you still have 4 people on side. It's at least something, but opening up this hatch is going to be a bit difficult with the impact play right below him, but that Ram is going to make sure that Lamb is going to be exposed, his position is going to be exposed, but in return he actually finds the kill himself. Nova tries to move in to get the trade, but it's slightly too late. Breach starts being opened up, Harp Recharge goes out, Impact Rig comes and misses. Kitchen hatch opened.
Yeah, Lamb is still going for these reverse vertical engagements. The only real problem I see for Calories here, though, with Oscar being taken down, that's only 2 nitro cells remaining and no smoke either. So if they can try for Unlimited to get a plant going, it could be a lot harder for Calories to sort of deal with it. But still, despite that hatch being open, no aggressive play as of yet. Unlimited instead choosing their next port of call to be this tunnel. Rorik just going to march in. No diffuser on him this time, so he's purely acting as a distraction here to try and get a bit of flak away from the planter. But from the way Hypex is moving, he might also be joining him in the tunnel, which would be an interesting development in this round here. Hypex still there, but Grizzly takes down Batusha, that ace. So the man count starting to dwindle for Unlimited here. They really want to get an execute going, whereas Calories are just more than happy to sit here and wait for that clock to burn down. Rorik still trying to find some vision onto these defenders. Eventually, that Fenrir sort of gas goes away, with Grizzly getting another. Things get even more dire for Delimited. Rorik incredibly low, but that's both nitro cells used still. With only 2 players left in such a small space, it doesn't really seem like Calories are going to need them. All guns just holding this tunnel. Really, there's nothing Unlimited should be able to do here unless these players get a heroic play going. Nomad air jab goes out, but 2 quick kills and Calories. It looked a bit shaky in the middle, but they win 7-4 on Clubhouse.
Yeah, we can kind of see the base turtles went out very well so far. As you said, both teams kind of turning it around. First was done Unlimited, coming back from the 0-3, and then Calories just waking up on the 4-4 with a clutch. Sometimes that's all it takes. Get 1 clutch in, get the hype back into your team, and, you know, then you're back on track, then you're back in the fight. And from then on, they just steamed through the Unlimited.
Absolutely. It did just seem like it was almost a bit of a mental block that happened in that round, but with that clutch, with them getting back on track, they were just as lethal ending that map as they were starting it. Incredible play from Calories, really continuing to solidify themselves as the top dogs of EU Tier 2. They've beaten the previous winners of Challenger Leagues. That's a great sort of accolade to add to your belt of great victories throughout this very short run as a team, as Calories just continue to dominate in these leagues.
Yeah, we predicted the Calories win. We at least saw that Unlimited was a worthy opponent, was a worthy rival. But at the end of the day, you know, the favorite went away with it, took the W here, and they are establishing themselves as probably head of the group if they manage to take out BLUEJAYS Talents later on as well. Calories looking like the favorite for at least this group stage. But Unlimited, as I said, they showed some fight in them, they showed some energy, but so far we kind of just confirmed what our thoughts were. We're like, they are not in the state that they were in last year round, where they're like full motivation, full steam at in Challenge League. Now they're just kind of, moving around to 2, moving around to 3, but they're still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely. Calories, Slade Unlimited, but that's only the first match today. We've got 2 more, so we'll head to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll just be 5 minutes, and we'll get straight into map 2, or game 2 even. Hello and welcome back to Vibrant League. We're on game 2, which is going to be Iceforce esports even, versus Moo and the Rats. But I'm not alone. I'm joined by the wonderful Dispa.
Hey. Okay, that was awkward. That was awkward, right?
A little bit.
Take it away if you want.
Thoughts on this matchup then? Let's just keep the ball rolling. Thoughts on this matchup? We've got Iceforce Esports, which have been known around the block as Team Alpha for I think a good few years, honestly. They were August. They were been sort of all over the place. They second in GSA. One season, I believe. They've been throughout various Tier 3 tournaments. And Moo and the Rats, which is basically sort of heroic, but not really. And it's kind of almost like a heroic kind of academy team, I guess. It's
the B
Mr.
team.
Officer's like passion project, I think, is what I'm going to call it. So Officer's in the lineup, but I think he's also maybe coach as well. And it's got a couple Tier 1 players in it as well.
Yeah, it's kind of. I'm gonna be rude and say heroic on orders on Wish.com. In this case, you get 2 of their support staffs playing. The coach/manager, officer, and Naki, the strategic coach / sub at this point in the EUL.
Yeah.
So they combined with Sloth, Ketal, and Joom, who are all actually players. Especially Joom is going to be like the forefront here, the explosive player. Let's hope that he does. And on Alpha, it's the same as usual. Keely, Koji, Scarix, Pano, and I never know how to pronounce his name. Icox? I can't say it.
I think it's Icox.
I've spent like a whole season with him. Like
I think it's Icox.
Yeah.
Whenever I've casted Iceforce, I've said Icox. So
I've just
that's
avoided
my
saying his
really
name.
uninformed opinion. So I think it's Icox.
I just don't say his name. I say Legion is swinging, not him. Legion is swinging,
True.
for example, or like the operators. No, let's get into the map ends. Let's switch over to the subject that we're talking about. Map ends. Do you want to go over them?
Well, the big thing there, obviously, we're playing Bank. Still not getting any of these new maps into the pool. No Consulate, no Night Haven for us. So we're stuck on the sort of old tried and tested maps. So going on to the stats for Bank for Moo and the Rats, who have played a surprising amount of matches, to be honest, for being sort of like a passion project team. Currently 1-1 on Bank. So dead even, sort of perfectly balanced. On the side of Iceforce, since this Team Alpha roster became Iceforce, they are 1-0 on Bank. So in recent sort of history, these teams haven't played this map a lot, which could lead to various sort of hidden strategies, various, I guess, mistakes being made as well if they haven't sort of brushed up on these maps. But it also could be a sign that maybe these teams are just a bit weak on this map. They're maybe weak on their roam clear, maybe weak on their roam game, as Bank can be a very large map with a very large floor plan. So it could definitely already point to some of the flaws in these teams.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the data for Team Alpha on Bank right now. If I'm quick enough, let's hope I am. But yeah, they have been a team that traditionally is able to play Bank, but never was like a huge fan of it. I have like the very old external analysis. I'm going to be talking from like last year's Iceforce, which was Team Alpha back then, and now they played Bank back then. I can even talk about this default bans back then. I think we're like Finka and Valkyrie, if I remember right. But I don't know anything about Moo and the Rats and how they play Bank. I'm assuming this is like there's like 3 styles of maps in my opinion. It's like the small ones, the middle ones, and the big ones. Small, Oregon Club, Chalet. Slightly middle ones are like, still looking at Chalet, but then looking at Skyscraper and that sort of stuff. Then you get to the big stuff, which is like Bank, used to be Theme, Night Haven now, that require a lot of coordination. Very difficult for like pickup teams unless you just go very aggressive here. So that's what I'm probably expecting from the Heroic, from Moo and the Rats, to just go very aggressive against Iceforce here.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. This sort of Moo and the Rats team looks to be more of kind of just a stack of people and not really kind of maybe playing that sort of standard Siege, maybe just going in, seeing how well their kind of mechanical skill can sort of carry them in these different tournaments. And for that reason, I do think we will be seeing a very sort of aggressive game here on Bank with a lot of maybe not runouts, as there's only really kind of that site wall that I can think of as a potential runout spot here, but a lot of sort of cheeky peeks, a lot of aggression being played from these teams on Bank here. So it's going to be a case really of can Iceforce deal with that? Can Iceforce deal with this team that has been so sort of strong, so dominant throughout their very short career in T3, and how they respond if maybe they're put in a difficult situation?
Yeah, that's going to be the big question. Operator bans probably not as interesting as the ones on Club that we had earlier. Bank is going to be kind of, up in the rinse with what you want to ban here. Hibana is still a traditional very often seen ban here, respecting something like the Solus, Valkyrie, Azami, Fenrir has always to be banned out. But Dokkaebi is probably a very smart ban by Mu and the Reds to kind of take out Scarix from Ice Force, who just loves the Dokkaebi. He even loved the Dokkaebi before she became popular.
Yeah, and again, the Dokkaebi, I guess, by the design of Ubisoft, obviously, with the way the meta is kind of shifted, maybe not the way she's used that much anymore, but she's designed as a roam clear operator, and Bank, a very large map. Getting those phone calls is going to be very annoying, very useful for the attack as well, to sort of figure out if there's any defenders near them. It saves having to drone every single nook and cranny in those office rooms. So for that reason, it's sort of a no-brainer. You got 2-in-1. You can affect the roam clear and affect the individual performance of a player. The Lion off the board as well, I guess more suited towards the to sort of facilitating the roam. And there's EMPs as well. Lion is one of the most picked operators and Dokkaebi for those impact EMPs, so it forces them onto, I guess, sort of more off-meta choices on the attack as well.
For sure, I'm just looking at Ice Force. I haven't caught up with Ice Force in a long time, back since GSA. Obviously watched a few of the matches, but back then we didn't really call them not Team Alpha but Team Scarix. But I heard from other people that Scarix, in recent time has been a little bit more quiet, not as flashy as he used to be, and it's more like looking at Keely, who's been like very strong in here. You can instantly see the two being on the entries here, Amaru and Yana. Probably going to be a quick Amaru CEO entry coming out from Scarix here on Ice Force. And I'm just curious how strong Mu and the Reds is going to roam here, and how adjusted they are to Bank at this point.
Yeah, well, they're bringing the Oryx, which immediately suggests at least one of those players is going to be on a bit of a deep roaming mission, obviously. Oryx doesn't really provide any sort of specific utility. He's more just a very good roaming choice, very good at disrupting the attack, at wasting time at getting these picks. Very selfish operator being brought by Mu and the Rats there, so you'd think already they are going to commit to quite a wide roam. The Warden as well certainly has his utility, but let's be real, that's not why most people pick him. They pick him for the 1.5, they pick him for the MPX, just swing around corners, and that looks like what Doom is going to try and do here on the square balcony, potentially going for a spawn peek, but I think he's actually giving a little show for Killy's drone there. Just going to run out, get it. I doubt he'll try anything else here, as he just retreats back into the building as well. Officer, the player coach, on the roam as well, seeing how well the old man's gun skill can do for him on this Bank defense here on the basement, so potentially going to be seeing an early engagement here. Mu and the Rats are definitely sort of trying for it with how aggressive they're playing. It just depends if Ice Force are really going to give it to them.
I've recently got I've been entered Discord for the pronunciation of Icox. I'm told I'm supposed to call him Icox now. I'm just gonna go with Icox, and you can go with Icox. And at the end of the day, we're gonna see who gets hate for it. So it's like playing Casino at this point. Zoom on the entry here, taking a close engagement with Keely here. He's clearly not scared to go for the kill. Drone bait's coming out, but he reads into the pre-fire as Keely and gets the kill. As said, Zoom is going to be the forefront to get these picks, but Mr. Officer, he may not be the youngest, he may not be the flashiest player, but he's definitely he is the move.
Yeah, especially when Ice Force just offer him up a free pick. Scarix going on the Amaru, it was clear that they were trying to pinch out Doom as Officer is eventually taken down, but they had no intel on the players actually in that office there. There were two roamers watching for that Amaru, so the Scarix immediately taken down. Icox as well, taken down by a Narkic. The other sort of player coach here is Katal. Finishes off this round. Incredibly dominant first round showing from Mu and the Rats here, as Ice Force seemed very sort of shaky when they wanted to approach that aggression. It seemed like a lot really rests on the shoulders of the Amaru, but there was no proper setup. It seemed very much they were kind of just trying a lot of things without fully committing to them.
It's nice to see Mu and the Reds get around on the board. I was kind of scared of how they're going to perform, depending on how much Ice Force is try-harding this. They have good chance of closing this out very soon, since as said, Bank is a very complicated, a very big map that tends to favor the coordinated and experienced teams a bit more. And why it's not, experience not the issue on the side of Mu and Reds, coordination kind of is. But as we said plenty of times in the match between Unlimited and Calories, at the end of the day, it's a shooter, and if you win your gunfights, if you go aggressive, if you take these open engagements, it doesn't matter, and that's what you have Doom for.
Absolutely. Doom, very aggressive player, very confident player, and he can back it up, which is always nice. On that Azami this time, very strong operator, with virtually always either picked or banned in matches nowadays because she's just that influential in the way the game is played in the defense. And it doesn't really help that she has basically never been nerfed, aside from, I believe, all the way back in the test server. Since then, she's basically just been on top. No changes that operator, so she continue to just dominate in both ranked and competitive here. Doom seeing if he can add more totals to his kills so far, though. I think he's playing quite close to sight here on this this open area defense, so might not have too many opportunities here. Is actually a lot of her Moon the Rats, sorry, getting caught off guard by the names here. A lot of these Moon the Rats players are just sitting around site waiting for Ice Force to come to them. That is the sort of nature of the defense, and we're seeing 2 mirror windows on that wall there, so they've got strats.
Yeah, they are cooking. Who let them cook? Killy moving in here, and very quick engagement here between Scarix and Katal. Scarix gonna get the engagement, tries to face the second one, tries to face Anarchic, but he's gonna retreat under pressure, low on HP, he's gonna have to get back to side. Doom kind of retaking the Archive's position here, meanwhile Anarchic being down and taken out by Keely, who keeps on facing him, keeps going for these engagements, but it's finally gonna be Doom to get the first kill on the board for Moon and the Reds in the second round of the game. He keeps looking for more, he sees the next one, but he just can't get it done just yet.
Yeah, retreats back to site as both those mirror windows get popped by Twitch drones now, so Doom is in quite a difficult spot here. Has to hug that wall, can still potentially close those windows. He just opts to reinforce the wall right in front of any potential attackers in square there, just keeping himself in a secure spot as Officer, holding down the beepers here on Legion, continuing to put those needles down when they recharge. As Killy gets taken down there, so Sloth getting that pick has suddenly evened things out and made Moon the Rats much more competitive in this round, as we're still seeing Ice Force attackers sort of distributed far away from sight. We're seeing Koji now eventually enter the building. Ecox as well, going away from ATMs there. It's really just Pano applying pressure towards the site on this Zero as a player. Crawls into his spot. Officer, you're not going to get away with those tricks, my friend. Taken down by the Zero, as Doom is also very low, having to hold a punch hole here. Moon the Rats still looking very, very weak on the site, but Ice Force themselves not looking too healthy either.
Yeah. Mr. Officer, you're supposed to be the Moo, not the Red, with those cheesy plays there. Come on. Great. That was kind of ready. Sloth going for the next engagement here. Can't find anyone just yet. You kind of have, you know, your 2-star players being left into the 2v3. 2 major players, 2 invitational players, and 2 players who can very easily clutch this out if they play this correctly. They get the first kill onto Ikoxe, and now it's just going to be Koji and Pano left. 2 of the classic OG players for Team Alpha, for Ice Force, as they start using the smoke as cover to slowly move into the side. You can see Pano moving in close. Doom is so low that a single bullet could down him, but Pano gets to start the plant. Doom just kind of trying to eliminate his own keeper barriers so far, but the plant is gonna go through. They have to retake their own side now. You can see them being very careful here of how they choose their engagements. Well, Koji with the DMR gets to hold the cross. He has the scope, he has the damage. This is all but over unless when the Reds can pull a miracle out of their pants.
Yeah, Sloth taken down. Everything left on Doom on such low health. He's rotated, but spotted by a drone. Can maybe take down Pano? No. Pano even takes down Doom. And, well, Ice Force, they get around on the board here. 1-1 now. It wasn't the kind of explosive start we saw on Clubhouse. Both these teams instead very evenly matched here, as a couple bad decisions seem to really bite Moon the Rats in that round.
Yeah, I'm curious about Anarchic. He tried to support the Tellus Arcus player once, got punished for it, got some damage dealt, retreated back to side. Then he peeked again. Got some damage dealt, retreated back to side, and then he peeked again and died. For a strategic coach, I'm gonna roast him for that. He's a strategic coach. I expect him to peek better. I expect more from you. I already DM'd him on Twitter saying that I told him don't choke just because I'm casting you. And I know he's choking just because I'm casting. Just saying. We're gonna see if they pull the same mirror setup. They at least have slightly different reinforcements. It looks like Ketal's like attentively looking over the reinforcements like a supervisor.
Yeah, they don't have that confidence to run that strat again. I don't think.
Yeah.
Especially with no one watching those windows because of those 2 opening picks. So we might be seeing a bit more of a sort of safe defense from Moon the Rats this time, not going for these, as you said, quite silly peaks from the strategic coach Anarchic there, just really giving away his life incredibly early. These Valkyrie cams distributed throughout the map. There's a lot of very big rooms in Bank, so it allows for a lot of vision to be held by a single camera here. GM still playing on the side though, and for a player that is just so good in terms of gunfights, Not sure if I'm a fan of that. I think if you've got a star player like that, you're really going to want to use them, which might necessitate swapping off a few roles, putting them on different operators. Although, obviously, this is definitely sort of a for-fun team, so you can see why maybe they're letting Officer sort of get out and about, do his own thing. You know, team is his team after all, so...
Yeah, I already told, he already messaged back to me, I'm a bit hella nervous, and said, I just got home and had to play, so I'm gonna play Beep Mao. I censored that, since that wasn't PG-13. But already the excuses coming out from him. I expect him to be off his phone and on the game and get some more calls in here. As it's 1-1 and we're back in the next open area and we kind of see a more solidified setup this time around.
Yeah, an actual mirror player playing behind those windows this time, which is always a good sign. An Arctic as well, and a more defended spot here, although he's still very vulnerable to that vertical play, so as soon as Ice Force really get on that second floor, he might have to move because there's so much soft floor above him. He's not even got a nitro cell, so I'd imagine it's pre-placed. So there's potential for a vertical kill there, but aside from that, Anarchic is going to be in a very difficult spot. Sloth as well on these blue stairs, barricaded off, so he'll have to give away his position if he wants to go for a play here, which could all lead to moving the Rats' defense kind of falling apart here, especially if they get an opening pick on one of these players here, specifically Anarchic, but Ice Force, strangely enough, they aren't really going for this vertical play at all. Instead, Koji, though, takes down that flanking player and gives them a lot more security in that push.
Yeah, that's a good opening pick coming out of the hands of Ice Force here. They have a good situation here to even out the scoreline if they close this round out. It's funny how we've seen, like, on the UI shows that we were spectating Scarix and I saw them mute and my brain just completely froze. I was like, what do you mean? We're watching mute and says Scarix. I was so confused for a second there. So Scarix, interestingly enough, on the sense here, they are absolutely cooking. And no warden on the board, so nobody who can look through those sense walls, so they might even be rightfully cooking, as the defense is just holding onto these few power positions, making the best use out of these keeper barriers, and possibly even getting a kill here with the Coxidus. Having some shaky positioning there, but at least Anarchic is going to get punished and taking out, keeping the man advantage in favor of Ice Force. But as I say that, Mr. Officer gets the kill onto Koji in revenge, evening out the man advantage and bringing a 3v3 back into the hands of the defense.
Yeah, and with Koji taking down Ecox as well, actually, there's nothing they can really do about that mirror window either, which makes things a lot more difficult pushing into square. And we're seeing these players bunched up by the double window, or the double door even. The Sense Gadget goes out, but shot down instead, and Katala gets one on Pano, 2v2, but just isn't aware of the player pushing in. Officer, alone the 1v2, but it's 0-0. Only one kill required. Needs to potentially take down Killy, though, on the cover, but he can just move around. Takes on Scarix, 1v1 for Murat now, the real figurehead of the team here, but can't win it against Killy, taken down, and Ice Force get their second round.
I was so ready for the Mr. Officer clutch here. The old man himself clutching up, that would have been crazy. You know, he's close to retirement. End of the stage, he's retiring.
Well, maybe he's retiring to pursue as an entry player, you know? He just said retiring from coaching, right?
I just got some of the Twitch chat message to me.
Is it from
Mr.
Officer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that before. Take it as a compliment. That's what I'd say.
Take it as a compliment. Okay. At least. Anarchic, come on, wake up. In general, come on, Moon. Let's bring some rounds back on the board. You're back on the basement. That went very well for you last time around. I can't stop laughing now. Take it away.
Yeah, well, they have got this kind of shining light that they've reached here at the end of the tunnel, and that is the basement site. They did have a very good defense here initially, although it was because Ice Force seemed a bit shaky on their attack, sending in Amaru into completely uncharted territory, really tunnel visioning on that one player, when in fact there were 3 players on that second floor. So they can't really sort of write this off as a round win already, but it is the basement. It's the strongest site, sort of statistically. So it definitely sort of plays into Moon the Rats here if they can have as good a roam game as they did in that first round.
Yeah, that first round was excellent from their side. I'm just a Joom believer right now. I'm just believing in Joom to take these engagements and take them to Ice Force. Also, you have Sloth on this team, as I said. Sloth being a very experienced player, and then almost hitting the wallbang here on the Killy as they retreat out a bit now. As Ice Force starts to move in, I'm not sure if Moonrats are aware how quickly Ice Force is moving here, as Monty has just been left alone inside of dirt. It's going to be fine as the defense kind of lacks the options to go aggressive against them, and meanwhile Keely successfully snuck into open area, taking down Sloth.
Yeah, Officer's still on this top floor, but he's looking to retreat with that man advantage going the way of Ice Force. Well, as I said, that gets tied down. Doom Believers really looking good so far, getting that evening pick. 4v4 now as Officer sends a few shots going out there. But I really like the Monty play from Ice Force there, and I hope that Moo and the Rats don't fall for the bait, because they're clearly just using that Monty as a distraction as Doom ends up getting another one. Doom Believers on top here on Bank, but it very much seems like Pano is going to try and sort of deal as much damage to the utility as possible. These Ice Force players, though, just keep wandering into territory that isn't cleared at all. Scarex now, the only player near the defuse, the only player with a rifle in this matchup now is still got Pano below, but he's completely isolated. They've clearly rinsed the game plan. I think that was a team down, in fact, as Scarex now, final player, Moo and the Rats win another basement defense.
Let's go. It's the basement defenses. Mr. Officer also popping off with 2 of his own, one of them being a pistol call. Yeah, I think they just got the basement really locked down. If they can get one more round win, they get a 3-3 split, which is already decent. Attacks are going to be difficult for them. Executes in general for like one of these kind of ranked team squads being thrown together here are going to be kind of difficult here, but they might find the grooves now. We see a new side. Surprisingly, it's a new side. We see CEO now coming up from Moo and the Rats. I get why they went to open area earlier. Kind of allows you more freedom, more creativity to bring. Whereas CEO, you again similar, sort of the same as CTV on Clubhouse, but you again locked into like a set of at least 3 power positions, which limits your freedom a lot when it comes to being aggressive and being dynamic here, being explosive. But I'm a Doom believer. So Doom's gonna make it for the
And I think sort of having a site like the second floor is that is a botched key barricade. Not really sure what happened there. Just a bit of siege jank being shown, and Archix certainly doesn't look too pleased. But I think a site that sort of revolves around sort of 2 or 3 power positions does definitely fit into a team like this, where you have Doom, you have Sloth, who are clearly the kind of front 2 of this team, the star players. Doom really showing it on this match. So if you just invest a bunch of utility onto Doom, he's probably going to get a few picks, at the very least sort of trade himself out. So that could definitely fit into the kind of ultimate game plan of Moo and the Rats here. But they can't sort of afford to get too cocky. They've gotten too cocky in these previous rounds, and Ice Force have shut them down. That's how they've got 2 rounds on the board. So Moo and the Rats still need to be playing decently sort of passive and, I guess just don't throw away your lives, because that is what happened on those 2 open areas, especially from a certain strategic coach.
Yep, that's very good possibility at this point. I think Ice Force are going to have these attacks locked down on paper. They just need to be able to adapt to these aggressive plays from Moo and the Rats that are possibly coming out. They again see the Osa, which is going to give them a lot of freedom of movement, being able to lock down a lot of these angles, especially this one. Bring an Osa street in there, and you might get C4, you might get impacted, but you're probably not going to get one tap. So that's the trade-off a lot of people want to take here, and that's why often Osa is being brought here, but the curve of room area that Anarchic seems to be fighting in seems to be a big focus of Ice Force's attention so far. As they start opening up the walls, start nading out and investing utility into that area, while Anarchy is just holding on for dear life with his keeper barriers.
Yeah, all 5, I believe, of those Ice Force attackers just outside on that balcony, and with very few eyes towards top square. There was certainly a possibility for an aggressive play, but instead it's Koji opening things up, taking down Sloth, one of those front 2 players who, albeit hasn't had a great start this map so far, taken off the board still. It's Melusi. All that utility is likely taken down as Anarchic. Very almost meets his fate, but actually gets away with surprisingly little damage to himself. Either way, this forces Doom to retreat back into the site and retreat into a much less fortified position, which could be very bad for him. So it's really going to be up to his sort of individual decision-making and play-making here, as he's just completely boxed up to this reinforced wall now. Icox takes a bit of damage there, but still alive is the crucial thing, as Koji gets a second. Ice Force really looking like they're going to win this round. They just have to formulate and execute, and Doom already takes down Pano, the Osa, the kind of playmaker here, making things much more difficult for the attack, who still have this man advantage.
Yeah, Manaki, you're not going to beat Wild Multigaming with these kind of opening deaths, but at least you got Mr. Officer. Still fighting, taking down Kili here. And next C4 comes out, but it's not going to hit anything. 3-3 so far. Moonred's pulling this round almost back. But they still have 3 attackers to worry about, as 2 of them are making their way into square now. Doom and Kittle both kind of focus in the small area, and it's going to be on Mr. Officer to hold all the other areas, keep up the pressure on the attack, and don't give the attack too much breathing space. But the clock is running down with 10 seconds, so the attack needs to start moving. The repel needs to come in, but June actually finds the first goal, gets traded out by Coach. He's going to move in with the diffuser, caught out by Guitar at least, though it's a 1v1, but Mr. Officer is far away and can't get caught out by the last attacker, so Moo and the Reds take out the CEO defense.
It's really just kind of getting comical of how many of these rounds is just Doom bailing out Moo and the Rats there. He did such a good job dealing with it, execute towards the breach, just taking out those players, specifically on that Osa player who was getting very aggressive, trying to sort of get a bit of space in favor of the attack there. And he just continues holding his ground, getting these picks. Great player for this team, just really doing a lot of the legwork. But the crucial thing with that is it's not really replicable, right? It's just a kind of round-by-round thing. So you need to have a more solid game plan if you're on the side of Moo and the Rats here that doesn't just revolve around praying that Doom gets a triple kill here or praying that Officer gets a triple kill. Because that's really just not very replicable, and it's not a consistent way of finding success for this team. So Ice Force, they still have a chance to win this. We're back down and open so far, and that still hasn't yielded success for this Moo and the Rats roster. So there is certainly potential for a 3-3. I would actually expect a 3-3 half here if Ice Force can just do sort of the bare minimum as they have in the previous rounds. It's really just up to this one player, that is Army, standing on the table, Doom. Can he make magic work here, or will Ice Force get their third round?
We see a nice overview of the broken glass on the floor of Bank here. The free game has brought us some new perspectives to the game, at least. It's things we haven't seen it before, like the broken glass on the close to the floor, close off that, very cinematic at least. As you said, Moo and the Reds, if they can get one more round down here, they're looking very good. Unlike the keeper barrier right now, that's looking awful right now, and the second one...
Not having good
at
luck
least
with them, are they?
Huh?
Not having good luck with those keeper barriers, are
No,
they?
no,
Rats, so...
but they are annoying to work with. Like we've all experienced that. Every time you need them to work, they don't. They just go wherever they want.
Just another bit of classic siege jank. That's why we love this game so much. As Scarex getting very aggressive, Killy as well, but almost pays his life. That he does. Doom again opens up this round, gives Moo and the Rats this immediate advantage, and Katala's looking like never mind. Very good from Killy there. Not sure if he had intel. It's a second. Payno trade up by Doom. It's Doom versus Killy on this round. Triple for Killy, double for Doom. They might be potentially on for back-to-back aces here, both of them, if things go their way. We've still got Officer alive for Heroic, but it's mainly just Doom holding things down on the site. More players now begin to sort of flood this second floor, so things getting increasingly difficult for Moo and the Rats here. Ice Force, though, somehow get out with this advantage.
When Scarix used to be on Austin Force, they used to be called Scarix Force. At this point, I think we can start calling them Killy Force. Killy has been popping off. He's been going crazy so far. And Doom really needs to keep up with him at this point. He has 10 kills on the board. He needs to make it 13 unless Officer is picking up some kills of his own in this round. But he's close to the attackers, but it feels like Killy is well aware of that as he's just holding that Koji, taking some damage closer to the side. It's a good split between the defenders. One is creating pressure, one is holding the side, and the one creating pressure is going to get caught out with Killy dropping down. He's on 4 kills. He can make it 5. He just finds Doom, but no. He cocks his trigger, finds the last defender, and brings it back to a 3-3 scoreline after the first split. And that's a nice background, by the way. Just saying. Nice operator background.
Very nice operator background indeed, but Ice Force, they get this 3-3 half, and it looked to be pretty rough at times with Doom just continually getting aggressive, continually finding these picks, but Killy there was the real star of that round, just opening it up entirely for Ice Force there, almost got his ace, was denied, stolen, one could say, by Ecox, so unfortunate for him, but I'm sure he doesn't mind too much. He still managed to win that round basically just from his own play alone, giving them that even half, and now Ice Force head onto this defensive side, head onto the more sort of favored side, the more comfortable side, and they are very much looking like they could take this in regulation. Obviously, though, all that Moo and the Rats need to win is 3 rounds on their attack to take it at least to overtime, get a point out of it. But Ice Force, they've looked much more sort of deadly as a team. Of course, in that previous round, it was mainly just Killy, but for Moo and the Rats, it's mostly just been Doom, right? It's mostly been Doom making those plays, opening up these rounds, and you need more sort of team play. or at least I hope you need more team play. The worst kind of matches, I think, are when it's just one player dragging a team sort of through it. You want to see multiple players kind of deserving of that win, because right now, it's very much just Doom firing on all cylinders for Moo and the Rats.
To be fair, one game being basically just a kill montage of one player going crazy is also fun to see. Even if it's not like a competitively entertaining game, it's just nice. A small bowler montage coming out from Doom if he keeps this up. Same from Killy's side, obviously, as Doom quickly moves into the lower area around server, now taking blue stairs control. Capcan traps and the Echo are going to be a big contest to slow down the attack, but it looks like they want to go for a server-only attack. They need to control this server edge right above them if they want to go for this. They need to keep up this Monty, otherwise they can't plant, and Doom's going to be a vital pick. And guess who it is to take him out? Of course, it's Killy.
Yeah, these two just sort of binded by fate, the two real star players here, as it seems like there is a thermite breach on the site, so we could be heading for a very quick execute. That we are, an Arkic planting. I think the smoke is just outside of his radius, but still stopped by the Echo drone, but Katal gets one, so still even out. Eclox taken down, but crucially, we still have that Echo alive. We still have that smoke alive. Killy as well as a Nitro. There's plenty that can be used to stop this diffuser going down. And with this square patch being taken by the defense, it forces an Arkic to go back out and try and deal with these defenders. Scarex, though, realizes he's under a lot of pressure, choosing to rotate away. Ice Force playing this beautifully, just wasting the time from the attack on what looked to be a very quick round, just baiting them around, making them try and invest in killing these roamers when they can just run free. Ice Force really controlling this round, despite the setup all being there for a Moo and the Rat to execute.
Yeah, it's a 4v4 on paper, but in practice you can see that Ice Force is controlling the round, as you say. Only one more smoke left, so once that is eliminated, and Koji going for the neck here. Smoke comes out, now Anaki might be able to just finish it, but no. These hits from the SMG-11 into his back are what kills him in this case, because now the smoke is enough to finish him off. And only Monty can go for the plan like that, because his back is covered. Now it's going to be very hard for Moo and the Rest to go for anything here, as they are on the man disadvantage. They don't have anybody to cover. They have no real control over the server edge. They have to park an entire attacker just for that, and they have an Echo drone still stopping them from planting. This is going to be a hell as Scarix even takes down Katal now, and this round is already over.
Yeah, Echo drone being up just forces Officer now. Still very much paranoid of a potential flank. It looks like he might actually be met by Scarex, so shots exchanged, but Officer just quickly moves away. Sloth is in the sight, but misses what looked to be a free kill there as Koji just crouch walked into his crosshairs. Officer taken down, Sloth as well. Koji went crazy that round on the smoke, really just dealt a bunch of finishing blows onto that Moo and the Rats attack, and it gives them the advantage here. 4-3 now in favor of Ice Force.
Well played by Ice Force, to be honest. But I feel like Moo and the Rats just, I don't know, skipping a few vital steps here. They try to go for a server-only take, while by putting Jim in a very risky position. You always have to like park one attacker. If the hedge is soft, you always have to park one attacker. You kind of hold that. And normally you do that in electric. If you park him in electric, it's kind of annoying, since you're going to be exposed to, skylight, top square. If you put him top square, you're going to be exposed to flanks. Well, that's normally the position that is favored for that, as you can maybe park a flank drone, maybe go with zero, OSA, no air jabs, anything. But the worst way to do it in most cases is just put a defender server, since he's always going to be caught out. It's the easiest prefer, the defense are going to focus him out, and that's exactly what happened. And then once that control is gone, you basically can't go for any more plans, and even the Monty just losing some SP there from the smoke. It's a lot of small things that can't be happening if you go for this attack. As it stands right now, Moo and the Rats, I'm kind of like, this attack kind of worried me for the general state of their attacks. Let's see if I'm right about that or not.
Yeah, Ice Force choosing to defend this open area site, which I believe has actually been attempted 3 times and won 0 times the defense so far. So Ice Force looking to break that trend here. They've once again sort of opted for this second floor roam, which is really a requirement because of how important the vertical can be and how important square can be for the attack. And Arkic, though, very much in a solo mission, already in through ATMs on that Nook, can not even break that barricade, just crawl on through the holes he's punched. So he is already a potential threat, but he looks to be droning himself in, which already hinders his sort of potential ability, as Pano just takes down Doom there. Doom getting very aggressive despite sort of his position as that primary hard breach already taken down. So incredibly good pick from Ice Force there, immediately stalling out the attack, but Sloth has something to say about it. Takes down Koji. Anarchic also taking a lot of fire at ATMs. But still, we've kind of reached a bit of an uneasy, quiet portion of this round. These 2 kills going the way of either teams, and now they're trying to pick up the pieces.
Yeah, picking up the pieces is the best way to phrase it, as the attack needs to pick up a lot of pieces. With your star player being gone, we've talked a lot about Zoom in this matchup, and he's going to be the first one to fall. So it's going to be on the other 4 to pick this back up, and we all know that Koji is an incredibly capable player, but if I want one player to be gone in this game, and he's the star player, it's going to be Keely and Zoom in this case, as Koji as the IGL. He can IGL from camps, that's fine, he can IGL there, but Zoom can't work his magic from camps, unfortunately. At least they're going to be able to take down Ikoxa, who's had a bit of a struggling map so far, but even if Ikoxa is struggling, Koji is dead, you can always rely on good old Keely to get the frags, same as Anarchic. Okay, I was saying Sam as before I saw the name, but Anarchic gets the frag here, and at least Scarex still fighting back, so it's a 2v2 going for the plant here. Sloth 50% on the planter, gets caught out now. Anarchic not having the best cover here and being put in a very dangerous 1v2 here. He has the FMG9 to work with, 1.5 to force these engagements, but he has no intel, no positioning, no idea where these last 2 defenders are.
Yep, Anarchic though, former Challenger League winner, he's certainly got the clutch gene in him, even if it has been a little bit inactive over the past few years. He still can very much win this, diffuser in hand as well. But there's a lot of holes to play around. He's going to be very careful about where he chooses to get this plant down, chooses his corner in break room, so it gives him a little bit of security here, but there's still only a drop away from dealing with him. Anarchic gets to the plant, can't even win one against Scarex. Ice Force win round 8, and they've now built up a bit of a buffer between them and Moo and the Rats, 5-3 for them.
Disappointing performance by Anarchic to not clutch that 1v2, I'm not gonna lie, but Ice Force looking strong, looking good. That's kind of what I expected to happen on the defenses. You could still see, you know, the explosiveness, the individual skill from Moo and the Reds kind of evening out the scoreboard, but once you get to the attacks where they are forced to move, they are forced to make plans, go for executes, the difference in, you know, time to prepare for each team is starting to show. And it would be, it's not like I'm not hating on Moo and the Reds. It would be weird if it wasn't showing. It would be kind of, you know, embarrassing from Ice Force if they are going to be a worse attack team. Even if they don't like Bank, I'm expecting, like, Ice Force have always been a very methodical team. They are not one of these brain dead teams. They're one of these brain dead teams. They've always had a very good understanding of what they want to do, especially on the defenses, on the big maps. They've been very dangerous, as they normally play a very good fight, retreat, reorganize, fight, retreat, reorganize style. And they've been excellent with that, and especially on Bank, that is paying off. So I'm not sure if they have been like the biggest Bank team recently, but even if they haven't, it fits into their playstyle, it fits into their strategy. So I would have been surprised if this would be going another way.
Yeah, again, it is a case of one of these teams as a kind of solidified tier 2 team. The other one is kind of just a stack for fun with a lot of good players that can individually pop off. But when you kind of stack them up together in a game like Siege, you'd expect this more strategical team to be taking advantage. And that they are. Ice Force, 2 rounds up so far on this second floor defense now. Moo and the Rats, even I keep saying heroic because I keep seeing Doom's name. Really annoying, but anyway. Moo and the Rats going to try and attack this. Officer immediately getting on this rappel. Meanwhile, I'd imagine Anarchic already in the building. He's got that Nook sensor active. That he is. In open, could potentially go for some vertical nades on one of these plays if his intel is good. A lot of damage goes the way of Ecox, so there's certainly some intel there, but doesn't quite confirm the kill. And with that, Ecox retreats onto hard flooring. Anarchic's opportunity is gone. And Officer's opportunity for any impact in this round is also quickly taken as well. Koji taking him down 5 versus 4 in favor of Ice Force.
Again, strong opening pick from them. At least it's not Zoom gone. It's gonna sound rude. It's Mr. Officer being gone, so it's not Zoom. You still got your star player going in, but Mr. Officer has been your second strongest player so far, surprisingly. Okay, that sounded super rude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that back.
Advance it, it's fine. Use nature, it's fine.
I was gonna say I expected Sloth to play a bigger role. I was gonna say it like that. I expected Sloth to play a bigger role, but it's best of one. Sometimes you have a bad day. It happens. And the main player I'm disappointed in is obviously going to be Anarchic here, as they are back against the wall. If they lose this round, they are on match point, or rather Ice Force is going to be a match point, and Scarix gets another opening, and now it's just down to 3 attackers. We're going to have to fight all these long angles, all these awkward engagements against 1.5s and high fire rate guns. It's not going to be easy for them to touch this. They need to isolate the player here, and as you can see, Ice Force is not really allowing that. Ice Force is playing very close together, and if you are on the disadvantage, you kind of want to get handed picks. You want to get handed 1v1s, and Ice Force is just not giving them that right now. And as I say that, the next player falls, Sloth taken out as well, just Doom and Katal left. This is almost unwinnable.
Yeah, and honestly, it seems like this round was almost lost in the pick phase. No Osa being brought, so no way you can really safely get a bit of a foothold on square. No breach either, and of course, those walls were all soft, I believe, but still, Ace has a good gun, can be used for a bit of range hard breach on windows as Katal left in a 1v4, can't even win it as Ice Force just slaughtered them again. 6-3 here, and it seems like this pug stack of Moo and the Rats just isn't really matching up to a proper team. Their strats are clearly sort of not the deepest in the world. They're very much going for these fragging picks, these fragging operators, trying to make these individual plays work, and it just simply isn't happening. Ice Force now really becoming dominant on their defense here on Bank.
Yeah, normally I would question them even going to Bank if you're facing up against a team that is known for coordination. And, you know, even if you got the heroic ego, you know Ice Force, at least a little bit. So I'm kind of questioning them going for one of these deep strategic maps. On the other end, you don't really want to take them to something like, let's say, an Oregon either. It's hard to map ban if you are a team like this and you're facing up against like Ice Force. But one thought that I did have, that's a nice LOD bug that we saw there, that we see this guy that actually looks kind of cool. But I'm getting sidetracked. Now, what I was going to say is that this could be very much practice for Anarchic. Anarchic is IGLing for Heroica now as he's on the roster. Since he's playing for leader, and Anarchic used to be the old IGL for back then Koana. So I heard he's IGLing for them. So even going to Bank, you could say, hey, we might lose this match, but at least I get to IGL a little bit, get to train a bit on a difficult map that is difficult to IGL. I doubt that's actually the case, but that's just an interesting thought I had.
Yep, I mean, even if it wasn't the plan, it sure is probably an effect. You at least get to get some runs in with Anarchic in this playing roster, and that can definitely help in something like a major sort of qualification spot. The LCQ is likely where Heroic, even though Open Qualified Playoffs first is where Heroic will be, so they need to sort of get these reps in to stand a chance against a lot of these very good Tier 2 teams. So Moo and the Rats is a great bit of sort of training for them, even if, as you said, it might not have been the original intention. It's still going to have at least, I would imagine, a good consequence for Anarchic there and his abilities to IGL once again. Ice Force, though, still causing a lot of issues for Moo and the Rats here on this roam. We've got an Echo being brought as well to just help with these roamers. Scarex getting very aggressive towards ATMs, but both of those attackers quickly leave the building. Moo and the Rats choosing to force the issue elsewhere as Doom books open these windows towards Trump, trying to get a bit of an angle towards one of these roamers up top, but with that Scarex isn't giving him anything, doesn't want to give a single inch to Moo and the Rats, or a single inch to Doom specifically, because he knows really if he can just take down that one player, Moo and the Rats are likely to collapse around them.
Come on, Anarchic. Your time to shine. Show up. Make history. Find these opening engagements. Make the plays of the century. As Doom falls, it's all going to be on you to make these big plays. Acox are finding a good kill here on Doom. So it's just, again, 4 attackers left. Again, a man disadvantage. Again, giving up the first opening. And Cataldi's kind of fighting back. Taking on Painter. Taking on the Echo, which is a very interesting first pick to be handed to Moo and the Reds here. So Ice Force in a good position, and they're going to find Anarchic. No big plays from him in this round. No big plays from Katal, but also no big plays from Keely, at least, as Officer finds in the first kill, and Ecoxa finds the second kill for the attack, or the third kill, actually. Taking down Scarage, that's a really nice kill, at least something, as it's a 2v2. And now here we have an interesting engagement by Ecoxa. Rotates back to side with 50 seconds. The attacker has some time to work with. They have no heartbeat gadgets and clearly no intel on whether there are any operators flanking. So they need to take a breather. Think about the winning conditions. Think what you can go for. You can't really go for server. You got the smokes there. You kind of have to go for something aggressive. You have to get another picker before going for a plant. So you're only left with dropping these hatches right now. And as you can see, they're setting up for just that right now with 20 seconds on the clock. They're hoping to get a defender pick handed to them. They're hoping that one of these two gets over aggressive and exposes them. Neither are doing it so far. Smokes went out, only one of them left. That nade is probably going to hit nothing as it goes out, and Mr. Officer goes for the drop. Gets punished, so does Sloth. GG's as Alpha patiently plays out the last round.
Yep, Ice Force really just coming into their own on those defenses, totally outclassing Moo and the Rats there, who had a decent time when they were defending Bank, getting that 3-3 half, but Ice Force just truly becoming a much more dominant team when it was on the side of Moo and the Rats to make those attacks. And it's kind of very predictable. Obviously, you have Doom, very good in the defense, can simply just dig his heels in, hold a position, and force Ice Force to come to him. But when he has to take that space, it becomes a lot more difficult. So all Ice Force needed to do was survive until that defensive half, and then everything really just fell into motion. They get a very surprisingly dominant win there, despite it seemed to be pretty even early on. 7-3 is that final result for Ice Force.
Yeah, pretty much everything went as you would have predicted it normally. On the defense, as I said, you can, as I said, dig into these positions. You can have Doom, do his magic, go pop off, go aggressive. But once you start moving into the attacks, you are starting to require support play. You're starting to require drone work, intel, so like flex work, opening up hatches, preparing executes, and all that for a ranked stake going up against a team like Ice Force, who are excellent at digging in, playing turtles. It's not easy. And they, as you could see, they got punished for it. They got punished very harshly. And in my opinion, the map ban was the most deciding factor in this game, as I, even in like a better day, I can't see them winning on bank attacks in this case.
Yeah, map's just too big. There's too many opportunities for those Ice Force defenders to sort of dig in. Too many strong positions in the hold. And sure, Moon the Rats can do that on their defense, but they can't really build a significant enough advantage heading into the second half. So naturally, Ice Force just take it when they can play that defensive game. One more match still to go though, so don't go anywhere. We'll just go to a quick break.
Introducing Everest, the world's first customizable and premium mechanical keyboard experience. When designing Everest, we wanted to bring an uncompromised, highly personalized product to the market. We offer you maximum freedom of choice. Let us show you how. Comprised of CNC milled double aluminum faceplates, you'll immediately see and feel the exceptional build quality. Feature-packed, Everest includes a modular media dock and magnetic numpad with programmable color display keys, hot swappable mechanical switches, RGB illumination, and a magnetic palm rest. The media dock with display dial allows you to control your media, adjust and easily switch profiles, check your system info, and more. It will also feature indicator LEDs. No matter if you're a lefty or require the numpad to be on the other side of the keyboard for macro purposes, gamers rejoice. Everest can make it so. Everest isn't just for gamers. It's designed with flexibility and freedom of choice at heart, making it the perfect keyboard for designers, illustrators, editors, and all professional users. Create profiles that remap your keyboard to have your most frequently used commands conveniently bound to keys of your choice. Optimize your workflow every day. Take your performance to the next level. We don't believe in one size fits all. Our highly modular design makes Everest just right for you. With countless personalized numpad, media dock, and palm rest configurations, Everest can be completely custom tailored to fit your needs. Everest supports you on your ascension to peak performance and matches your style.
Hi, I'm Tobias, founder of Mountain. There are a lot of good keyboards on the market, but nothing that truly allows you to completely customize your individual preferences. We've changed that. Using only the finest materials, Mountain's unique design and modularity enables you to create unparalleled level of personalization. We've created a unique product for mechanical keyboard enthusiasts, gamers, streamers, and creative people alike. The Everest keyboard can be what you want, when you need it, through ultimate freedom of choice. You now have the opportunity to be one of the first to get your hands on the most sophisticated feature-packed keyboard ever made. Thank you for supporting us.
Reach your summit with Mountain.
And with that, welcome back to the last game of today's Playday 4 of the Fire League. I'm, again, not alone, but again, we are a lovely duo casting this last game. Who's playing?
Well, it's going to be Feuerfrei versus SSP. Personally, this is the match I was most excited to looking into this. It might not end up being sort of the most competitive one, seeing as we did have Calories versus Unlimited, which you'd probably say is going to be almost like the highest sort of match quality. But SSP is just this unknown team that have continued to evade us. They've had a bye on the first Playday, I believe. Then they've had matches forfeited, so we still haven't seen them in Vibrant until Playday 4 now. The main reason I'm so excited to see this team is because of Emission. He was a star player in the European League of Tier 1, just getting incredible plays, really managing to, well, I wouldn't say manage, but he certainly put on a damn good effort attempting to drag that TT9 roster through the mud. And although ultimately he didn't really ever get that much sort of points out of it, he still had some phenomenal plays. So he is someone who could really tear up the lobby right now. The question is this sort of team going to synergize around him?
Yeah, that's always the thing when you have like one star player going around, is you don't want to just rely on him. You want to build around him and, enable him in a sense. So that's kind of the two roads they can go. They're either going to just rely on him, play the normal play style, just hope that Emission is going to be enough to carry them through, or they're actually going to adapt to building around one player. On the other hand, Feuerfrei have had an interesting long history in Tier 3 over the last years. Switched a lot of names. We used to know them as Turkish Cowboys or Istanbul Wildcats before them. In my opinion, they were always kind of like the dark horses of the open qualifiers. They always kind of came out of nowhere, beating the favorites, having like a real strong showing, but they never really made it to like the established top 8 teams, right?
Yeah, and I think part of that sort of wild card aspect of them is just the nationality. Turkish like teams often kind of fly under the radar. I don't believe they have their own sort of Tier 3 league in the grand system. So obviously more eyes would be on, say, like the French or the German teams, because they have those leagues that you can see them sort of week in, week out, see them improve, see how they play. And then you just sort of put this really good squad of Turkish players together through different qualifiers, and they always manage to get like a couple upsets in those brackets. So even if they don't ever manage to really break in to that top echelon, they definitely come in as that unknown quantity, and they've continued to find success throughout. That being said, though, ever since becoming Feuerfrei, they've had a bit of a drought in terms of successes. They're on kind of a decline here as we're seeing this map down ahead of us onto Clubhouse, where I believe Feuerfrei will be starting on the defense there.
Yeah.
So they do have a chance to sort of get a good start here. But again, you need Feuerfrei to start linking some wins together, or else I just have a feeling this team is going to continue to be stuck in a pretty bad spot, because the talent is there, but they just haven't really been able to harness it within the past few months.
Predictions. I don't know either team well enough to give my own predictions, so I'm just going to ask you for your prediction, and then I'm just going to go against it. So who do you think takes this?
I'm just so sort of interested in seeing how Emission works. I think Emission has the potential to just take over the whole lobby, and obviously we're harping on one player, but I think it's kind of acceptable for Emission because he has had some incredible plays and throughout sort of Tier 1 level. So I'm going to say SSP. I'm going to say SSP win. I think Feuerfrei still just have a couple problems they haven't quite ironed out yet, so despite them being a very good team on paper, I think SSP are going to just slightly edge them out.
If you think SSP takes it, then I'm going to obviously have to go against you, and I'm going to, like in the old debating culture club, I have to make up some reasons why I'm thinking Feuerfrei takes this. Yes, Feuerfrei are the dark horse. They always perform the best when you least expect them to, especially when they go up against an all-star like Emission. They might suddenly fire up and go in firing out of all their guns. So Clubhouse, I think, is a good map to kind of benchmark these two. You said we haven't seen SSP so far. I haven't seen a lot of Feuerfrei recently, so we have a good benchmark map to kind of see their strategic gameplay, to see their mini games, op-bends, playstyle, gun skill, and everything on Clubhouse. So I'm very excited for this map.
Yep. The only sort of info we have on this new SSP roster, they have played in 3 matches in quals. They played in the first EU Open qualifier, where they were swiftly 7-5'd by Toxic Monkeys. They skipped qualifier 2. Into qualifier 3, they ended up getting a first round win against Good Morning Baby, which was, I think, just a sort of like pub stack. And then they lost 2-0 to Benelux VIP. One of those maps being Nighthaven, so you could potentially blame the sort of map choice there as something they weren't fully comfortable on. Either way, they still lost 2-0 there, so they haven't had the greatest start so far, But I do think with a roster like this, with players just from a variety of different regions, they might need a period to just sort of grow and settle together to really sort of unlock that potential.
Yeah, looking at map bans and support stuff on SSP is kind of like a tier 3 all-star support stuff like Manny, Praise, and Skippy. Skippy coming from PG Nuts. Praise, I think, always having been with SSP for a long time. Mandy before that, coming from Ovation, a couple of teams before that. Meanwhile, on Firefly, he's called Sawyer. I don't know him very well, so I can't say as much about his history. But I think like talking about like the background behind each team, both teams are very well equipped going into this final Clubhouse map. And especially if we want to benchmark the playstyles, it's going to be an interesting map to go in, since it's a map that requires a lot of these basics to work with, to just work. These mini games to work, droning to work, roam clears, executes. All of these are going to go very well on a Clubhouse as a map. So if either of these teams is just naturally more adapted to a slower, more strategic playstyle, it might help them. On the other side, if we see other team having a clear gun skill advantage, it's going to go against that. So as I said, Club was kind of being the best map in here. Are you looking forward to any operator events on Club?
You'd probably expect to see the Hibana going, I think. Or one of Hibana or Ying, just so you can really capitalize on that basement. Obviously, things didn't go so well, map 1, despite those bans being in effect. The only other thing, I'd probably hope we see one of either Fenrir, Solus, or Azami banned, because that is such a sort of strong trio. You really need to take one off the board, or else attacking just kind of becomes a really miserable thing, both I imagine to play, but also to watch as well. There's just so much utility they have to go against that it honestly just seems a bit unfair. So I imagine we're definitely going to be seeing one of that sort of trio, potentially even two, getting taken off the board.
Yeah, it's kind of operator events on the defense have become very boring recently, with the recent balancing around these 4 big operators, Solus, Fenrir, Azami, and Valkyrie. But on Clubhouse, usually it's always a good pick to take out the Azami. Azami is very strong on every side to cut off rotations, to cut off angles. Valkyrie 4C4 is always strong. Meanwhile, Solus has been seen less often and is more frequent on the top sides. On the bottom, she sometimes gets played on the roam, but she's less frequent in that sense. Meanwhile, Fenrir, don't have to talk about him. Strongest operator in the game possibly right now. Just making every entry so incredibly annoying to play against. And just incredibly strong on every side. I don't have much more to talk about at this point, to be honest, but we're slowly getting into the game. I think the lobby is almost set up, always ready to go.
Yep. I think just players to watch, I'd imagine. Obviously, a mission. It's going to just be, I think it is definitely going to be a clash of Firefly, an established team that are probably going to sort of thrive better with this slow style of siege, these slow methodical executes. And then SSP, which is going to, I'd imagine in these kind of early infant stage of this roster, is going to be, let's put a mission and like Rolo somewhere and hope they get some kills. Really, I think it's going to be a clash of styles very heavily in this. And I think Clubhouse is good for that, because Clubhouse, it's a very sort of default map. It's a very standard map. It's small enough that you can get away with this kind of deathmatchy playstyle. But there's enough sort of steps to the process that playing slow methodical is also a reasonable approach.
Yeah, it's the OG map. Clubhouse has been very explored. Basically, everything has been shown. It's not a map that you can get very creative on, but that also means you have a lot of options to choose from. You know every style that works. You know what's a loose roam, a turtle, aggressive roam, a passive roam. We've seen everything. Everything is on the board. Everything is available to play. And honestly, in the current meta, you can kind of go with anything you want. It's going to depend a bit on the operator events. If Hibana and Ying are banned again, you might want to go for a turtle. But other than that, everything's on the board. And it's going to be interesting to see what either of these teams choose for this. Yeah, and I'm hoping that Firefly are going to come off strong to kind of work themselves out of the slump that they have been in recently.
Yeah, and I also think this is probably the best chance, just looking at the teams. You can get away with getting a win against a sort of newer team like SSP. Maybe try against Unlimited, but I believe they actually already lost to Unlimited. So this is really Firefly's kind of best chance, aside from that sort of upset against Ice Force, that they have to get some points on the board, really. All these other teams, it seems very much like they are operating on a bit of another level right now. And that's not really due to talent. That is just due to there's something clearly wrong with Firefly here. And I don't know if it's mental problems. I don't know if it's just they aren't clicking, if they're just having a couple bad play days. But the talent is there. They just need to find a way to sort of re-unlock it, because it's a starkly different roster from that sort of Istanbul Wildcats roster we were seeing just a couple of months ago.
Yeah, sometimes even if you have roster changes, you start to kind of stall in a roster sense. Even if you have made changes, it's not like you have been with the same roster for like a year, like comparing them to the Unlimited, for example, who are also kind of stalling at this point. It can just be sometimes you need a clean reset. Or you need that one final puzzle piece that really fits in there, that one insane fragger, that one great IGR, the one coach. And it kind of seems like this has been missing for them recently. But this is going to be a good chance to kind of show up. I'm really curious about how Emission's going to perform. We've said more than enough that he's a great player. I'm pulling up the stats as I speak, so I'm kind of waffling to stall onto then, but he's obviously been a great player. So we've seen enough players to kind of get washed over time. Every player is at risk of that. So if he doesn't perform in tier 2, tier 3, it's going to be a slippery slope for him, at least.
Yeah, I guess comms as well. It seemed like, although he was signed as a sub for TT9 back in stage 1 of the UL, they had no intentions of using him. So I'm not sure if maybe the kind of if there's a language barrier there, if depending on how good his English is, it might cause a bit of issues with the team as well, playing around perhaps sort of a slightly worse communication. Compare that, of course, to Foyfry, all Turkish, so likely all going to be speaking the same language there. So that will additionally sort of boost their team working ability there, which again leads me to think that SSP might still have a slow start despite already losing 2 matches to forfeit, which isn't really the best start, because you've kind of you're already in the middle part of this group, right? You can't afford to just start that slow start now. You really should have already gotten over it, but unfortunately, just due to a variety of things, they've had to forfeit 2 matches and they've been left in a pretty bad spot.
It's a pretty bad spot points-wise, but mentally it could be a very strong spot. It's the kind of spot where if we don't go insane, it doesn't matter. Back against the wall, we can go crazy or go home. So let's go crazy. Let's have some fun. Go out with a bang. And that can be exactly the underdog position that you're going to, really pop off in. That you're going to go insane in. And that's kind of what I'm hoping here to see from their side. But we're still waiting for the lobby to get ready. These players are taking their damn time right now.
Yeah, I think we've basically exhausted all the speaking points there. So I think we'll throw to a quick break. Obviously, last time I said quick break, you were sat here waiting for 25 minutes. I assure you that will not be the case this time. Only probably going to be about max 4 minutes. We're just waiting on one player, and then we have clean feed delay. So we'll throw to a break, but we will be back very soon. I assure you, do not worry.
Introducing Everest, the world's first customizable and premium mechanical keyboard experience. When designing Everest, we wanted to bring an uncompromised, highly personalized product to the market. We offer you maximum freedom of choice. Let us show you how. Comprised of CNC milled double aluminum faceplates, you'll immediately see and feel the exceptional build quality. Feature-packed, Everest includes a modular media dock and magnetic numpad with programmable color display keys, hot swappable mechanical switches, RGB illumination, and a magnetic palm rest. The media dock with display dial allows you to control your media, adjust and easily switch profiles, check your system info, and more. It will also feature indicator LEDs. No matter if you're a lefty or require the numpad to be on the other side of the keyboard for macro purposes, gamers rejoice. Everest can make it so. Everest isn't just for gamers. It's designed with flexibility and freedom of choice at heart, making it the perfect keyboard for designers, illustrators, editors, and all professional users. Create profiles that remap your keyboard to have your most frequently used commands conveniently bound to keys of your choice. Optimize your workflow every day. Take your performance to the next level. We don't believe in one size fits all. Our highly modular design makes Everest just right for you. With countless personalized numpad, media dock, and palm rest configurations, Everest can be completely custom tailored to fit your needs. Everest supports you on your ascension to peak performance and matches your style.
Hi, I'm Tobias, founder of Mountain. There are a lot of good keyboards on the market, but nothing that truly allows you to completely customize your individual preferences. We've changed that. Using only the finest materials, Mountain's unique design and modularity enables you to create unparalleled level of personalization. We've created a unique product for mechanical keyboard enthusiasts, gamers, streamers, and creative people alike. The Everest keyboard can be what you want, when you need it, through ultimate freedom of choice. You now have the opportunity to be one of the first to get your hands on the most sophisticated feature-packed keyboard ever made. Thank you for supporting us.
Reach your summit with Mountain.
And welcome back. We are into the match now on Clubhouse for F5 vs SSP. Apologies for the little break, but we've got the action coming to you right now.
Yeah, everything good takes its while. Both teams need to charge up for this match. We're going in on Clubhouse. Operator Benz. Feuerfrei starting on the defense. First up that is going to be the Monty. That seems like a specific counter ban in this case. The interesting dynamic in regards to Clubhouse is that some teams actually prefer to go attack because it gives you the second attacker ban. Kind of get to see what the other team bans, then you can lock in the second one. For example, you don't want to start with a Maverick ban because then you risk the attacker banning out, let's say, a Hibana, making a general hard bridging very awkward for you if they want to. So that's why some teams prefer to go attack, or whether I used to prefer. back when I used to be a coach. Not if it's still the same these days. But that's like the only map where that's the case, even despite the harsh side advantage.
It definitely forces the attacking team to make a difficult decision if you open up with a more targeted specific ban, because then they have to choose what kind of almost fundamental pick they are willing to part with. As we do end up seeing both of or two of the sort of front three defenders being taken out. That's Fenrir and Solace meeting the ban phase. So Azami slips on by. She's still a very powerful operator in her own regard, although I'd say Club is one of the weakest sort of maps for her in general still, but Dolph will be picking that up. There are plenty of opportunities, though, just due to how dynamic that gadget is. So there's no real sort of bad or weak maps for his army. But I would say with Club, you've got the most sort of chance of maybe not seeing her in a couple of rounds.
Yeah, it's on the top floor. She's like obviously a nice pick for Jim. It's just nice to cut off these like construction rotations, cut off these angles, and for CCTV obviously rafters. But for basement, it's much more a thing of, hey, we've got like 2 or 3 angles we might want to close. Do we pick Azami for just that? They decided to go with it, which completely makes sense. In general, this operator lineup seems like very modern, running a good point, like a good amount of 1.5s. At this point, this is like the default basement turtle setup. You're gonna see Murray, you're gonna see Kate, Warden, Wamai, and Azami. It's like the default turtle, so nothing interesting on their side. You're gonna get to see what the attack goes with in a second.
Yep, obviously, unlike our first Clubhouse match all the way back in match 1, we will not be seeing a Habana Band. And, we're not be seeing a Ram in this round as a mission. That star player just instantly taken off the board by Guttero. But let me finish my point. We've still got Hibana on the field here, so getting rid of those hatches is going to be a lot easier. Getting access to the basement is going to be easier. Ace as well being brought, so you can bring 2 of those primary hard breaches, but I don't think SSP are going to be too happy about that because they've already sustained an opening pick, and that makes things a lot more difficult. That's the Ram as well. What I guarantee was their plans for that primary soft breach even. They've still got Roller with those 2 soft breaching charges, but aside from that, it's going to be very, very difficult to actually get these vertical angles going. So that's a great start for Feuerfrei, and it's going to likely result in this being quite a comfortable defense for them.
It's just slowly being opened up here, as State Punks are going to have to deal with a very unideal start here. But they still have enough time to adapt to it and make their plays. Whether it's small blame on JJ and Rolo still running the outplayed tag here. Same with Mission running the TD9 tag. Come on, you're an SSP. Change your tag, my man. Another attacker falling though, as JJ gets taken down by the high damage output, especially as headshot of the TCSG. So only 3 attackers left who are going to have to deal with this. Try to make a plan on how to still take this bottom floor.
Yeah, and they're very separated as well. Reaxis on his own, trying to push down blue here. The other 2, I guess, trying to make the most of that limited vertical, but Rolo does get taken down, so it's just Southbark and Reaxis left here. They've still got hard breach, so they can potentially get an impact somewhere, but Reaxis taken down to a single-digit health value. Carterna takes him down. 1v5 for Southbark on the Hibana. No chance of any breaches on Church. Doesn't even manage to destroy the Nitro Cell either. It comes out. Carterna swings. Still not quite gotten this Hibana yet, but with Shoxel taking that final kill. SSP start in a quite worrying fashion there. A flawless round for Feuerfrei.
Yeah, almost even flawless in the sense of no damage being done. Southbark managed to do some damage, at least at the end of his life there, but still couldn't have been much more decisive for Feuerfrei. As he said, that opening pick was absolutely crucial to the rest of the round, and Ambition's going to make sure he's not running into any further spawn peak in the rest of the round. My big question is Feuerfrei going to keep up this playstyle? Is that their playstyle for Clubhouse? Are they constantly going to go for these early aggressive picks? Or was it a one-off? Was it a one-time thing where they would go for these aggressive spawn peaks?
Yeah, I'm inching towards it being a one-off. I'd say usually the 2 best rounds you can do that, the first and last, just catching your opponent off guard, either at the start or the end of that half. So it makes sense they just go for it out the start incredibly early, getting rid of I guess obviously there's no way to predict where someone's spawning, but getting rid of that soft breach operator, incredibly good from them. Obviously, an opening pick here likely isn't going to be as sort of advantageous. Obviously, it's still a body hitting the ground, but with no vertical play here, even if a mission were to be opening death again, it wouldn't entirely disrupt the sort of flow of the game. You can still very much do stuff with the other operators. Just the thing with basement is, if you lack that soft breach, it's basically impossible to attack.
Drone slowly coming in. Garage seeming to be the first point of contention for the attack of these state punks as they start opening up all the default angles, opening up Lord Jihad, checking out what the defense is going with, what are they up against in terms of breach and all. You can kind of see now there's a bandit on the run, there's a bandit in-game play. Question is, how hard is he going to contest the breach, and is Roller going to try to deny that from the window? For now they've opted to ignore the CCTV side and instead focusing hard on this Jacuzzi and Logi side. Legion gonna get spotted out, but it doesn't really matter as Roller drones himself in vertically, possibly can go for a vertical push, but he's still on the roof. But this breach is going to be free real estate as they manage to open up the Jacuzzi breach.
Yep, immediate sort of opening bit of pressure being exerted there by SSP. They can already start to cut a bit of a hole in that top floor, but Shoxel getting the opening pick on South Park. Still, Feuerfryer, I tend to say, are in the advantage. Nade goes out, gets zapped, and he immediately reaggresses Rolo, my man. I would not advise that at all. Gets taken down by his own grenade, but it's Carturner getting the down, so he basically gets the kill credit there. 2 players left for SSP as these attackers still just not really finding their footing in this map. A lot of strange decisions being made here, despite a decent start getting those breaches open.
Roller, what are you doing? He's tried to nade first time, failed, tried to nade again, failed again. At least 1 kill maybe on the board this time for SSP, but no. JJ5 having to drop down and retreat. That bandit is going very aggressive. No way he's getting away with this. He's not. He's actually going to get hip-fired by JJ. Hip-fire shotted. So that's the first kill on the scoreboard for the likes of SSP, but it's not going to be second as Boldolf takes down the last attacker. And so far, it's a very one-sided game on the side of Firefly.
Yeah, despite that not being a flawless round, I would still sort of comfortably say SSP have still gotten 0 impactful kills in this match. It was only an exit frag there onto a player who was being permanently pinged by being outside that Roller was able to get there. So SSP still looking very weak as Firefly are going to test their luck, it seems, on bar and stage. Not sure if this is just their tertiary, if they're feeling extra sort of confident with this matchup, with the way these first 2 rounds have gone by, but either way, we're going to be seeing this site in play. Not really commonly picked by teams at all, as those 2 second floor sites tend to be more popular sites. So interesting to see this site being brought here. There might be an aspect of ego towards it, or maybe Firefly are just really comfortable here and they believe it is truly the tertiary site. There's certainly ways to make it work now with it being this bar and stage site rather than bar and stock. It means you only really need to prioritize vertical play around bedroom and construction. You don't have to thoroughly dig your heels in cash anymore to hold it vertically from there. So it does make the site more viable, but still, it's not that viable. It's very much the 4th most picked site for a reason, and that's because it's very easy for the attackers to get picks and get openings into the site.
I'll have to see some bar again. Back when like the rework came out, we had like a lot of these very innovative bar strats. You saw strip extensions coming out from the likes of, you know, SSG and DX0, I think, and even Koi extended into it with the Echo. But then it kind of went out of the favor again. You know, you opted to rather invest more time to other sides than learning a whole new side. So I'm glad to see it again, at least if it's just for 1 round, and I'm hoping they're going to win this round just for the sake of seeing some bar wins. 2 defenders being caught very early here in cash. They managed to retreat out. Was going to be dangerous that they're going to be cut off at a mission, punishing that flying Echo drone. It was like a small aim-lapse task right there.
Yeah, Carturner getting a bit aggressive with that intel there and ultimately does pay for it. So that's 1 drone that won't be available for dealing with the execute, but still, I imagine it's got enough intel on who's really on that roof. He's seen a mission there on the sledge. And South Park being taken down. It seems like Firefly aren't too deterred by this at all. There was an attempt at a response, but Gutaro still manages to stay alive, and these SSP players just still really far away from where they need to be. No real advances made onto construction yet. Sure, you've got Rolo in stock trying to hold some prone angles. Does get a pick, actually. Shoxel taken down. But that's not the real problem with the site. The real problem is the vertical play. And with these Feuerfrei defenders still safely up here, the sort of time to act for SSP is getting lower and lower as the timer continues to tick down.
Yeah, finally they don't get, you know, completely rushed aside by this likes of Feuerfrei. They get one kill on the board, but as I said, the timer is taking down and they need to set up and execute here. They at least get the breaches open, but I would guess that there's still at least one Echo drone in play. Then it's gonna make it a little bit harder. No C4s on the board, so that's good. And as Rolo also gets another kill here, taking down the Echo actually himself. So now Echo drone is gonna be active to deny this plan, and that puts a lot of pressure on the defense to either retake the top floor or go aggressive on the lower floor for the execute, with Donati being in a very important position here. If he gets the kill, that's a good start. He does. Faces on to Rolo, deals some damage, but Eraxis on the top floor takes on Boldorf. The defense being very limited to a few power positions here that are going to be easily cleared vertically if the attack just gets to it. Wisely enough, Donati rotates around, leaves the position, repositions himself, as Gutter is in a very crucial red spot here right now. He could catch either of them off guard, but they are aware, they are well aware, and catch the kill. So it's going to be all Donati here. He's again managed to get into a blind spot. He exposes himself way too much, shoots at some demons that are not actually there, and Rex is going to capitalize on it and get the final kill for the first round on the scoreboard.
Honestly, a really puzzling defense and attack there from both teams. We saw questionable decisions from the attack, particularly looking at JJ just blindly walking in through that breach. No smokes, no flashes used at all to really at least mask his presence. So he was immediately taken down. We saw a very sort of strange push onto that top floor. There wasn't a lot of investment early on in attempting to clear them from bedroom, and then it just seemed like everyone on Feuerfrei lost their gunfights. It gave SSP that second floor control. It gave them control throughout the first floor as well. So despite sort of SSP not having a great game plan, just the gun skill heavily carrying them in that round, and Feuerfrei just didn't quite have an appropriate response, as you said, giving up their positions a bit too early, giving away the element of stealth a bit early with their pre-fires, just led to Feuerfrei not quite finishing out that round, and it gave SSP a round on the board. So 2-1 still isn't the worst, although that was a bar defense. So that was about as easy a round as you could get to win on the attack, and they can't really rely on Feuerfrei picking that again. I doubt Feuerfrei will pick that again if they get in a position to pick a tertiary site. But still, they've got to get through gym and they've got to get through basement first. So another basement defense here. Let's see if Feuerfrei can make it as powerful as it was all the way back in round 1.
They're not going for any of these aggressive picks this time around. As suspected, it's going to be a first round, last round thing, top and tailing the aggressive peaks here. But they're still extending wide and far, trying to maybe catch an attacker off guard. It's interesting they brought the Ella in here, an operator that, you know, normally you would say isn't in meta. You have Legion who plays a similar role, but is much more favored these days. But they still opt to go for the Ella, and to be honest, sometimes person preference, which is enabling you to perform your best, is better than any meta or any strategy on paper, so I can kind of get that. At 2:14, the attack is slowly going to start with the roam clear, and the pressure is going to mount up against the defenders, but so far they're still kind of chill. They're not holding too much of the top floor, so all this east side of the top floor is free estate for the likes of City State Punks, who are gratefully taking all that area as the defense is slowly retreating, not taking too many engagements here, and going down to possibly play a turtle on site.
Yeah, I guess the good thing here, and it's something that Feuerfrei honestly don't really know, but this setup from SSP allows for a total defense to be quite viable. No Hibana as Bodolf gets a pick. Turner as well. Donati traded out, but still a 4v3 in favor of Feuerfrei. But now with that ace being gone, you've only got those secondary hard breaches. These remaining defenders of Feuerfrei, it would be in their best interest, honestly, to just stay in sight now, stay in cover, make these SSP attackers be forced to either go for a risky hatch drop or go through a doorway, and that's going to really favor Feuerfrei in these engagements. I would honestly hesitate to say, but they might have already won this round here and now, 4v3, and with no kind of ranged hard breach to use. Sure, they've got the ram drone to facilitate a bit of vertical, but they're very linear in their use. You can't really go for somewhere like Kitchen where you need a lot of just individual bits of hard breach. Sure, you've got these lines going, but there's going to be blind spots, and these attackers are getting caught through said blind spots. At the very least, a mission gets won, but still Feuerfrei in a bit of, SSP even, in a bit of a dangerous spot.
Yeah, they got the kitchen edge opened now, but they're not going to get the bar hedge open at all. So it's going to be a few very tight angles they need to address. They at least found that one kill there. They're going to get into it on the side now. The final droning or cloning of the side in this case, especially droning out dirt, but coming into late as Mission faces in earlier and BLUEJAYS capitalized on a detonate's not going to hit anybody as it looks right now. And Rolo has to drop down. Timer is low. He sees the Ella, catches her off guard and takes her out, but he has us back to the next defender where BLUEJAYS, his position is clearly called and he's on low HP. This round might actually be winnable for the attack if they play their cards right, but actually Rolo is going to give away his position in this case. Shock's capitalizing, taking out JJ at 5, and it's only Rolo now. He's going to get 2 more on the scoreboard, make it 7 kills on his side. But with 4 seconds on the clock, this seems almost impossible. He slowly takes the engagement, but it's too slow, and Shock finds the last kill for the likes of Firefly.
Yep. Again, SSP, at the very least, they get some impactful kills that time, but still, when it got time to execute, Firefly completely on top of things, completely controlling the matters, as it did just seem like on a compositional level that SSP lineup, despite having the Hibana open, just wasn't quite versatile enough, and when those picks started going the way of Firefly, they had no real way to get into the round and other than just going for kills and hoping that they could win these gunfights. To be fair, they won quite a few, but still just not enough. That defensive advantage in man count was just too overwhelming by the end. It allowed Firefly to pick up their 3rd here. On CC Cash this time, though, is where Firefly will attempt to make their stand. So, still, it's a sight. It's better than Bar, but it's not exactly sort of the most picked secondary site. You have that big issue of the CC wall. It's very easy to open nowadays. There's a lot of counterplay for the attack and comparatively little for the defense. Obviously, the defense are kind of favored in a lot of it gunfights and engagements, so they can still definitely win the round when the wall is open. But that wall being open still gives a lot of advantage to the attack, and that's why we see a lot of teams tend to go for this kind of mirror play just to get a bit of an angle already open to use against the attack here. Seeing if Donati placing down that mirror window, so utility invested there towards that breach. I personally, though, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of the mirror window there, and I don't think Southbark was either, as he has just left the lobby, so I'm not sure what the calling on this is going to be. There is no request for a rehearse. I think it's just going to be played, and it doesn't actually matter that much, as JJ immediately opens up and takes down Guttero.
Yeah, that evens out the scoreline at least. But yeah, they're not calling for timeout, so we're going to play out this round and just hope that he comes back and he rejoins in this case. As Firefly have kind of lost the advantage they should have gotten with that following the opening kill. And they now need to play their cards very well here. On CCTV, you can kind of allow that. You have a lot of power positions, as I said, you can play in. You still have 1 mile to hold these. You have all these impacts that you can play around to kind of hold the attack off for some more time.
Yeah, comparatively sort of quiet attack here. There's a lot of setup being gone. It's actually on this construction side that SSP are going to choose to make their assault happen. JJ on that Hibana now this time on the top floor attack. Getting this wall open with these 4 pellets, it's not going to be able to being used as a sort of traveling hole, and impact trick means it's not going to be a hole at all, but still aimed at getting a couple kill holes there. Only 3 pellets actually connect from the looks of things, but Reaxis picks up the slack, takes down another. Firefly are slowly but surely getting bled down in this man advantage. As SSP still haven't actually lost a man to a gunfight yet, just a disconnect. They're looking pretty good here.
Yeah, suddenly now that they have a disconnect, they're looking really hot right now in their mission. He's not been the star player we expected him to be so far on 1 and 3, but he's looking for another engagement, looking for another kill. That Hibana breach is actually kind of awkward. He pulls out the nade, the pin has been pulled. Nade goes flying while Mike catches it mid-air. Meanwhile, Emission still trying to find this kill. The attack trying to set up and execute now. They have the man advantage, but an man advantage can only take you so far, as you still need to get the diffuser down or kill all remaining defenders. You still have a C4 on board by Donati, which can hurt you a lot if you don't manage to deal with that. Well, meanwhile, both in a good position here. I think another nade has just been pulled by Rolo. He's going to take it back in. There comes the swing from the breach. Rolo takes down the next defender. JJ5 takes down Shoxy as well. And it's going to be all down to Donati. He has no C4 left. He has 1 kill though, at least. But Emission, the star player, is the one to actually finish up the round. And despite the disconnect, they take the CCTV attack.
Yeah, it seemed like that DC was kind of the kick on the backside that SSP needed to really sort of get into fifth gear there. They did a lot better, really, after South Park had disconnected. And that's no slight on him. I think it just they realized that, okay, this is getting pretty serious now. We are potentially in a 4v5 situation now. So we very much need to be playing to sort of our fullest ability here. So, despite the bad circumstances of having a disconnected player there, it still ended up working out well for SSP. Let's hope that they can continue this play going. Unfortunate for them, though, with Southpark disconnecting again, we're going to another pause. That's why you can see our faces on the screen. But crucially, that halts any momentum that SSP might have wanted to start building off that round.
Yeah, that's a good point. Especially with the frustration you might get from a technical issue like this. At least South Park is going to be very frustrated with this. The rest of the team is kind of isolate themselves from that. Just keep your hopes up, keep the momentum up. You just won a few good rounds. It looked very bad for you at the start, but now you're slowly putting it back. So you want to keep that up. You want to keep going. On the side of Firefly, this is the best thing to ever happen to you. You started to get rolled over on your own defenses, and now you essentially get a very long tactical timeout to talk about everything. Like in T1, there's a reason why you're not supposed to be allowed to speak in technical timeouts, but that's just impossible to enforce in most cases. As this essentially gives you a very long, very nice tactical timeout.
Yeah, it's going to really, as you said, it'd be exactly what Firefly need there. Obviously, things didn't go well from that round. They can still attempt a bedroom defense, though, so 4-2 is definitely still on the cards of Firefly, but they lose any sort of chances at a better half than that. So, unfortunate for them, they do let that round slip away. Questions potentially being asked as to why they picked CC over Jim, when Jim seems to be the sort of stronger side there. But yeah, and for SSP, again, unfortunate they did get a round win out of there. They had a very dominant round win, in fact, but despite that, they can't build anything on it at the moment. They just have to sit here, hope that they have figured out what's going wrong and continue to build on it, as we are just waiting for this fifth player to get back into the lobby and just see how it goes from there.
And to be honest, a big part of it was just, they started to get openings. As we said earlier, sometimes it's not a big strategic thing, but if you get like one opening pick, it very quickly snowballs into a good momentum for the rest of the attack. If you just, keep up the man advantage, keep up trading each other, then you can use this opening pick to build pressure on the defense, as the defense kind of knows, for example, if it's like double advantage, where it's like a 3v5, you can't play passive anymore as a defense. You can't. They're going to steamroll you on the execute since they have a strong man advantage. So you're forced to go aggressive. So not only are you at a disadvantage, but you're forced into a specific place now. And a good attacker and good agile is going to say, freeze, reset, hold yourself. And that's going to give you the next kill. The aggressive defenders are going to run into you. You're going to get that kill. And if you aren't playing aggressive, you're suddenly placed in a few very predictable power positions. If there's 3 defenders on a CC defense, there's pretty much only 3 positions to play. It's very easy to predict that. You have one flank turn to make sure that none of them are flanking, and suddenly you have 3 predictable positions. You're just going to clear out one by one with plays like that on the breach to take these out. That's why man advantage, even if it's just one player, very quickly really snowballs into a big round advantage, especially on a side like CCTV.
Yeah, and I guess the blessing there being the fact that they were in CC, it's very easy, particularly with the mirror window being played on that CC wall. It immediately gives the attack an opening to get a kill. There's the window as well in CC, so that's 2 avenues either side for the attack to quickly even out that man count. Something you're probably not going to get when you're attacking onto gym bedrooms. So obviously, you'd think they're going to be starting on a 5v5 anyway, unless things just don't improve with South Park. So that shouldn't sort of be a problem anyway, but it does limit their ability to get an opening frag on that site because it is just more defended, and that is why it's more picked. So they might have a rougher time heading into round 6, and we also might see the return of that very early aggression from Firefly that we saw all the way back in round 1, just capping off sort of both sides of this half nicely.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried how it's going to play out once we go to the other sides. We can see that we're going to gym bedroom right now, where it's kind of different deal defensive-wise. You're kind of allowed to be a bit more aggressive. We talked about this earlier. On CCTV, it's easier to hold these power positions as they are stronger, but on gym, you have more room to extend to. You're kind of forced and asked to extend into cash. You have more freedom of, aggression, freedom of explosivity. Is that a word? I don't know. And that can kind of sometimes make it easier to play man disadvantages if you are down a man, as you have clear areas of where I can go aggressive, where they're going to be stretched thinly as an attack. Want to take on Gym Edge, Lodge Edge, want to take on Jacuzzi. Maybe I can force out one of these. And Jim is already the next locked inside. So with each long tackle timer that I have right now and a good side that they're going to go to, I can easily see them take the 4-3 unless these state punks have really woken up with these 3 rounds.
Yeah, obviously momentum can't really be built here because this timeout. I have heard that we do have the player back in the lobby, so we should be heading back relatively soon. Obviously, a bit of a delay between us and the clean feed, but the problem seems to have sorted itself. So there isn't any sort of nightmare scenario for SSP where they have to play like a 4v5 the rest of the map. It will be all 10 players in the lobby. As really now, this is just time for Fly to lock in this final round. One more chance at defense, one more chance to get a very, very good half. 4-2 really sets up nicely for the attack. 3-3, not the end of the world for them, but it still means they will have to go above and beyond on their attacks to finish in regulation. But with a 4-2, you need to go even and get that 7-round point. So they'd ideally like to finish off this half strong, not just for the sort of momentum boost, but because the point count as well. The question is, though, will SSP sort of be able to learn from that previous round, continue to bring that aggression forward, and continue to back it up with good gun skill?
Yeah, as I said, there's a slight delay between us and the observing, of course. We've heard that he is back in the game. So we've got around 2 minutes, until we're going to back in, that we still have to fill with Warfling. What are your looks? Only 1 minute. It's 1 minute. So what are your expectations on the attacks with these places that we've seen so far?
I think a mission, it might very much be a similar case to Doom, where on the attacks, because he's having to make the sort of space, make the plays, he doesn't do as well. But on the defense, when they have to come to a mission, they have to dislodge a mission from a certain position. That might be where he finally springs into life, and that might be exactly what SSP need. But the question being there, if they're already down 4-2, that might just simply not be enough.
Yep. Clubhouse is not the most dynamic map. Like other maps would allow you to be more aggressive. For example, Bank. It's a great map to go aggressive on the defense on. On Clubhouse, you are obviously limited to a few rotations, a few rooms. We can see Southpark is rejoining as I speak, by the way. So it's going to be very interesting how this mixes. If SP gets the 3-3 split here, I think everything's on the table for the second half. Meanwhile, I'm very curious about Firefly's performance on their own attacks once they get into them.
Yep, back on Clubhouse though, back into gym and bedroom now this time. Firefly not wanting to reattempt that CC site, and don't blame them, things did not go well in round 5, so they're back on this more sort of statistically favoured site here. They're already sort of getting ahead with this setup. They've got that bandit once again. Hopefully this time Guturo won't be that opening death and will be actually able to go for a bit of a bandit trick. We'll have the protection of Donati's castle barricades as well to just keep him reinforced, and the only really thing that could get him, I'd say, is a couple early nades. With it just being a Wamai, that utility is likely going to be spread around the map wherever Shoxel is playing. So 2 nades could potentially deal with Guturo, but usually with bandit players like that, they would tend to just leave the moment it seems like a lot of utility is coming at them.
We're going to see how risky Gata's going to be willing to go with these bandit tricks on this side. He's still over there, but he needs to look out as the attack usually takes Garage fairly quickly, but you can see that they are also extending into Garage, making this very difficult, and if JJ5 is not aware of this, as he isn't, that thermocharge is going to be gone. Or not.
Yep.
Or not.
Apparently not.
What are you doing, Gata? How?
Guturo kind of caught between 2 walls there, hasn't been able to trick either of them, so it seems like already SSP went to a great start. All their key breaches getting opened up from the looks of things as they're already pushing into top main, just forcing the issue. Reaccess gets 1, 4v5 now as sight is actually cleanly open. Reaccess just gets taken down from Logi, but a trade swiftly coming into play, but can't really get rid of Donati there on the main stairs, so Case is actually cold here. SSP have an explosive start, and a mission continues going, gets 2 for his troubles, with Roller going down. A mission has to get a 3rd, and he does. A wild round to finish off this half that leaves SSP on this even 3-3 round split.
So it seems we had a small bug where with the disconnect, we accidentally went back into the wrong playlist. And we are playing Team Deathmatch now for the remainder of the rounds. To be honest, I said Clubhouse is not the map where it can be very explosive on. Everything's predictable. We've seen everything. I don't think I've ever seen opening up all the other breaches and suddenly just sprinting to the jacuzzi breach. Of course, we've seen jacuzzi rushes, but we've never seen going for like a normal setup, opening a few breaches, and suddenly just sprint everywhere. So I guess that was unpredictable. I guess that was explosive, and I guess it paid off. So I can't really argue with it. I didn't see that coming, to be honest. That was a good call by one of these players to go for that.
Yeah, I mean, we can sit here all we want and say, you know, it's not reliable, it's not a consistent way of getting a win there, but that doesn't matter. It was your last round attacking, and you've won it. You're now onto the defense, an entirely different game. So, like, there's no other really better place to just bring a strategy like that, really, when your more traditional attacks haven't worked, just in that final sort of hurdle. Go all in on that rush, and it works out well. It got close, but still, a win is a win, and a mission really needed that round to keep his kill count going high. Now 5-3, back in the positives here for such a phenomenal player. And immediately he goes in that ward, and he is going to be the sort of raid boss, I'd imagine, for Feuerfrei, as Donati already takes down one. That's another MPX off the board, but Emission is still at large in Lounge.
Emission's really going for these peaks, not giving up. He keeps peeking in. Neither of them can decide in their favor so far. Also, they're gonna keep peeking. Like, Emission went back down to the side, went back up, went for the next peak, and took it out. He literally said, nah, never mind, I'm not giving up on this. I'm gonna take that kill. And he did.
Yeah. He's evened it out. You can't really blame him. It was a wild bout of aggression from him, but he gets the pick, and that's your Yana off the board. I imagine 2 nades still in pocket as she was just going for those gunfights, so already that makes things a bit rough. There's no other sort of mobile, I guess, ways of getting indirect kills. No Capital bolts, no nades. Only flashes being brought, and at that, only a single set. The rest of that utility for soft breach and hard breach. So it's going to make things very difficult for Feuerfrei. It's going to have to be one off of gunfights here. And for basement, that's going to be quite difficult. There's a lot of places for the defense to hide, so they really are going to be tested with their gun skill. And I don't think, honestly, if I'm giving a bit of an early prediction for this round, I think it might already be lost because of that pick. SSP just looking very strong in that first defensive round.
Yeah, I'm not going to cast a curse this. The last time I cast a curse anyone, it went directly the opposite way. So I'm going to say this round is open to anybody. Maybe Feuerfrei still pulls this back. But it's definitely going to be a huge task ahead of them as they're slowly setting up for the execute, opening up all these verticals. Gotta just holding the flank actively until the EMPs are called over here to open up the barrage. And as you can see, they've opened up basically every angle. They've opened up every option for themselves to go for an execute. And now it's going to be on the SSP to predict correctly what they're going to go for. Unless a Feuerfrei clearly shows that with any signs. And I'm kind of worried with the positioning here. Yeah, they're rotating around now. I was kind of worried that they're boxing themselves all into like one square meter there. Boxing the one position, but they've kind of moved around, using these gold canisters to cut off some of these attacking lanes at least.
Yeah, but still, they're still quite isolated between each of these. You've still got JJ holding Gen and Mission ratting at the hatch. Feuerfrei still have opportunities to get these picks. The defenders kind of opening themselves up to being potentially killed here as these Feuerfrei attackers finally getting close to the site, but there's barely any time with the kill going the way of Southbark towards Badolf as well. Things are only getting worse. 3 versus 4. Donati has to run through the fire and the flames, and it doesn't work out for him at all. Troxel tries his best but gets taken down. It's 1v4 for Gutsero, make it a 1v2 technically, with Southbark being down, but a fraction of a second left. There's no chance. Plant being stuck here, but JJ, easy kill for him. Easiest he's ever going to have as SSP take that lead.
And nice knife kill there in the end. The time sometimes being the 6th and strongest defender for the side of SSP in this case. Nice round lead they've gotten on the back of 2 very poor starting rounds. They've really pulled it back here. And they're looking good going to these other rounds because they didn't win this round because of the basement. They didn't like crutch on the basement side to win this. Now they played very aggressive peaks, very good aggression, trading back these opening deaths. And if they keep going with that, they look good in these other setups. And we've talked about Feuerfrei kind of being sometimes in the slump, sometimes having a lot of issues. And momentum is going to play a part in that. And emotions are going to play a part in that. Especially if you think about, hey, we were really hyped, we really had a good start. Then not only did the enemy pull back? But no, we cooled off to the technical break. And now we went back in, and we even lost our first attack, and we lost it harshly. So the momentum is not looking good for FI right now. They really need to pull themselves out of the mud in that case.
Yeah, to make things even worse, SSP not repeating the mistakes of Fly, just heading straight to this gym bedroom as their secondary site here. So already a stronger site choice than Fly were offering on their second go of things. So potential already for a 5-3, obviously. Round hasn't even started yet, but still, that thought might be in the back of some of those players' heads after seeing this site choice being made. A mission now on this bandit duty, likely going for this trick here, is we're hopefully going to be seeing an actual trick happening on this wall this time. Very easy to deal with some of that hard breach utility here, especially with none of those attackers going below from the looks of things. He should be fairly free to go for this, and it's already scared Donati off the breach. He's signaling for his players, that being Carturna, to go through Garage, but still, he's got to wait, and with more defenders coming to his position to try and deal with these attacks, it's going to be more and more difficult. Carturna's already dead. Donati no longer has that freedom anymore, so he might just see it best to rotate away.
Yeah, Benetrix are coming through. No Vertiginate coming through, though. Carturna is down. This is really not looking good for the first phase of the attack. At least the Floor Storm can maybe support the breach now, but the Thermite isn't even there yet. At least they get one kill now onto JJ5. And the Thermite is quickly rotating back in. He should be able to get that breach open up right now. Floor Storm should be good covered, and Mission has retreated back into cache anyway. So at last, they still open up the CC breach. They now still need to focus on these next steps, like clearing out cache or clearing out logistics, which is both going to be very difficult in the current setup.
Yeah, and it's going to be even more difficult with a mission. Just playing there is already really fighting his life, as Badolf does take down Rollers, so man advantage going the way of Feuerfrei. But a mission is still at large, and he can still cause a lot of damage here. Nitro in hand as well. They're going to go for a drone hole peek, but doesn't quite find the angle. Reaxis as well has rotated around to try and help. A mission does take a bit of damage to that drone hole, responds back. Reaxis as well is in a difficult spot there with a lot of attention being brought to a mission. It's allowed Southbark, in fact, to take down Shoxel. Reaxis retreats now. It seems like a mission is just playing to die, playing to waste some time on the clock, and he's doing a very good job of things so far. Utility being burnt as well by Gutter to try and deal with him. He's eventually taken down here, but that's a lot of time wasted from what was once a very swift attack.
Yeah, definitely. A mission has been taken out as well, finished off by Gutter, and suddenly it's only Rexus and Southbark left. They have 1 C4 to play with, which is going to be a vital utility here, but Rexus is also kind of stuck in here now. Now he's going to drop down below, probably come up main stairs again, kind of reposition himself, but if the attack manages to signal out Southbark here, somehow take him out, either through the hedge or through these direct peaks, the round's going to be already over. He's in a vital position here as he slowly makes his way out into logistic now, into goal, while under a lot of pressure. Slowly starts peeking the master window, but they attack carefully choosing their steps at this point. Don't want to over peek anything. They take their time and they're going to go slowly for a well-coordinated push.
With 10 seconds left, I think the time for going slowly is past. They got to make a pick. They get a pick wonderfully. Gutter taking him down, but Reaxis gets 2. They line up. It's all on Donati now. 1v1, and Reaxis wins it out. SSP win off the timer alone there, as what was looking to be a very strong execute just crumbles in the final few seconds.
I'm very curious about what Donati was doing there, because I was kind of following his outlines, and the executor looked like he dropped down. Like at 10 seconds he dropped down. And as I was speaking about them going for execute, I was like wondering, he just dropped down. That's going to take some time to rotate back. You kind of saw him rotate around, rev it back up, and by the time they were already pushing the side, he was still just jumping in the construction window. And if he had been a bit quicker, they wouldn't have needed to go for the peak. Like, I'm pretty sure they only went for these aggressive peaks because they weren't sure if they're going to get the diffuser down, which they actually would have with the timing, but maybe not even. Like, Rex was in good position to cut off the door there. So it feels like mainly a time issue on the side of the diffuser in that case, and really not the way you want to lose a round. I've talked about the mentality ahead of this game. That's a heartbreaker. That's an actual heartbreaker to lose that round.
Yeah. It was a 3v1. It was a 3v1 that was just thrown by what seemed to be SSP, Feuerfrei even's lack of awareness of the clock there. As you said, they were going very slowly, and you think, okay, that's good, you know, They had that fast push, but a mission just sunk so much time and so many resources off them. That mirror window as well at logistics, all these things sort of compounding together to really drain that clock, and it allowed for Feuerfrei well, it allowed for SSP even to just essentially wait it out until it was only 10 seconds. Feuerfrei had to go for something explosive, for something really risky, and it just didn't pay out there. So a round that should have been theirs slips away, and now SSP go to this tertiary site. This is Feuerfrei's real chance to get some round wins on the board in their attack, or else SSP, they might just start to run away with it. Similar to our previous match, a 3-3 half could very quickly spiral into a 7-3 game. Luckily for Feuerfrei, they have got this early push on Jacuzzi. Breach is thoroughly open. Roamers have been cleared away. They've got all this control under their belt with only less than a minute taken.
Yeah, it's a really good start from them at this point. Making quick Ray in here. Mike kind of being in a dangerous position now. He doesn't want to get cut off by the attackers and caught in a bad spot, as he's going to be called out by the drone. He has rotated back to side. Why is he choosing not to engage either of these attackers that are moving in now? But in return, it allowed them to gain a lot of control. As you said, they have the nades to clear off these bandits. They have every utility to open up construction very quickly. Yeah, the impact rig is going to try to stop at least one hard recharge, and they only have one more breach charge, except for the ace that could be able to replace it. But Southpark, meanwhile, takes down Cortana, rotating below, and that's the main advantage for SSP.
Yeah, these sort of woes for Feuerfrei just continue here despite another good start in a match. Things are very quickly slipping away here. 4 versus 5 on what could potentially give SSP that match point, but Feuerfrei aren't going down without a fight. Shox immediately punching down this Azami barricade, going for these pre-fire picks throughout Cash, trying to find something here, but no one's giving him a single inch there. These SSP defenders playing very safe, very relaxed here. They know the setup is protecting them as Shoxless still just trying his hardest to find an opening here, trying to even the man count. Gutsero too. All these attackers peeking into these various breaches, but nothing can really be found. In fact, it's damage onto Donati that ends up happening here. Rolo gets him with a very aggressive swing, continuing the aggression, eventually is traded, but there's still a one-man advantage for SSP. Nothing has really changed as Badolf now has to charge in through Cash, tries to get one. Southpark, though, still gets one. 2v3, 1v3. It's all on Badolf here as SSP look to snatch that map point here. Badolf is trying his best to triple. It'll have to be an ace on the round here. The flank, he's aware of it. Royaxis just whiffs a few shots. A mission as well on the site. Badolf can try and isolate this picks, and that he does. A quad for him. Case in hand as well. He can force Royaxis to get aggressive here by planting. That he does. Case on the ground. Royaxis pushing forward on that Jaeger, trying his best to get this kill. Badolf just sticks it. Royaxis goes for the swing and takes him out.
God.
Ace denied. And SSP gets 6.
What a micro flick by Rexus. Do you want to know what Feuerfrei means?
No. Sorry, yes, I don't know what it means, but I want to find. That sounds really mean. Yes, I
it
want to
means
find out what
open
it means.
fire. It means like charge ahead, basically. And that's what he did in that situation. He went in, he took those gunfights, and he almost clutched it out. I was so ready for that clutch, to be honest. I can't swear, I was so damn ready for him to clutch that one.
It was what they need.
Yeah, if they would have clutched it and they would have gotten the hype of that 4-5 with the hype in the behind you, it could have been it. That could have been it.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know how Roller was allowed to continually get those picks despite players really just watching him from all angles. It was these bouts of aggression that just quite simply shouldn't have worked from SSP throughout that round, but still, they end up getting those picks, and despite the best attempts from Badolf there, trying to get the ace, ultimately, it just didn't matter. It didn't result to anything really. As SSP, they get onto match point, and even worse, they now get to test them on basement once again. These defenses on basement have been good from both teams so far, so SSP could easily just take this as a 7-3 here. We're seeing the mirror in play, which is going to really slow down the attacks from these various angles. The Goya was well aimed at wasting time here. SSP, they are on the edge of victory here. They just need to close it out.
That actually hurts. I said the gym round was a heartbreaker. Imagine that. Imagine almost clutching it. That's the second heartbreaker. They have to be very mentally resilient to not be frustrated after losing a couple of these recent rounds. And they can literally just not allow that. They can literally just not allow them to be shaky now. They cannot allow themselves to be hyper-aggressive in any sense right now, or not like over-aggressive. Let's say over-aggressive or hyper-aggressive. They need to control themselves and very calmly calculate what they want to do and how they want to react to this. They can't allow any missteps, any, quick opening deaths, any fed executes, any overdronings are going to mean you lost the match. There's no more room for mistakes. Everything has to be perfect now. And that's a lot of pressure ahead of you as they are starting to trying to set up the attack. But as I said, that's the diffuser and your long distance coverage being taken down by Raxus.
Yeah, at the very least, Firefly, they still have that Hibana, which is going to be much slower, but still provides potential for range hard breach. But most of her pellets, I'd imagine, are going to be using those hatches, and with the diffuser cold, it still is in quite a precarious spot and sort of vertical play being made by the defense here. Nitro is used a bit prematurely by Reaxis as Donati does recover the diffuser. It quickly swaps hands, a bit of sleight of hand there onto Carturner, who now has the case as Guturo. Now oddly wants to push down the main stairs, the same place his teammate died, chooses against it, but it's actually Badolf now. These Firefly players getting very aggressive towards these angles when they just simply don't need to be yet. They just simply haven't done the rest of the work here. The vertical still barely opened up. Donati, I'm not sure where he is, but kitchen flooring is completely solid. Firefly, you need to be doing the basics here. Last time you skipped out and stuff like this, things went very wrong, so SSP already looking very good as we enter this final minute.
Yeah, and look at the time, 1 minute left. They still haven't opened up the kitchen edge. The last pillars are going out. If either of these get destroyed, the kitchen's not going to get opened up, but they do get it through. The pillars come out and open up the hatch, but Budolf instantly takes some damage. SSP just seems so confident right now, taking all of these engagements, facing everything, making pressure everywhere. Even this, look at this, Rolo just waiting outside of dirt, waiting for the attacker to come in, taking these peaks. They have full confidence, they have full momentum, but they get punished as well. Donati finally getting 1 kill for Feuerfrei. They need to get 4 more. They need to be on point right now as they keep pushing forwards. That's a mission, that's good. They see the next one in AKs. If they can get another kill here, this is looking very good for their attack.
Yeah, but JJ could honestly just waste time here. That being said, Badolf takes him down 4v2. That's the key they need. They can finally burst into sight, get the plant down. No Nitro, as Reaxis used it earlier on, and South Park taken down. He has to go for a pick, and he doesn't get one. Guturo extends this match by at least 1 round.
Nicely played. Very good job there. A handful of very vital picks. I'm not sure if that was overconfidence on the side of SSP. I don't want to say that. I actually want to focus more on Feuerfrei just playing this round very well. They've had a couple of tough rounds, and I keep coming back to what we said ahead of the match. They are a team that has proven themselves in Tier 2, in Tier 3. They had a couple of deep runs in qualifiers. They've been a threat to a lot of teams, especially last year. They looked very dangerous, but they've just been in a slump, and we keep seeing this. We keep seeing this Istanbul Wildcats. We keep seeing this core of the roster that is just so damn strong, that keeps pulling rounds back from the dead, that keeps getting these calls. And you have to see through these kind of, I'm not going to say troll rounds, but through all these lost rounds to kind of recognize this old strength, this old roster that just comes out every time when you don't expect it to come out. And meanwhile, SSP is just seems so consistent. Look at these kills. Look at the scoreboard. 8-6, 7-7, 6. This is a team that doesn't need to be carried by one emission. They are not relying on one emission to carry them. No, they are a very equal team who are all pulling their weight. And that's exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, this is honestly the best outcome for SSP just so far, assuming they win this match. That they are all very evenly spread here. There is no one person clearly ahead of the others, and that's just the sign of a great team. They're playing well for a team that has essentially been assembled by the sort of scraps of various good Tier 3 rosters here. Meanwhile, comparing that to Feuerfrei, a team that has been together for a long time, they're also doing pretty well evenly, but Badolf kind of going ahead thanks to that failed clutch there. But still, Feuerfrei also putting up decent numbers. They just let these rounds slip away, which is where you maybe would be quite shocked, seeing as Feuerfrei are a more sort of established roster, that they're letting these little plays slip away from them. SSP, though, on this gym defense once again, not choosing to re-attempt basement, strangely, even though they could easily just attempt it a couple more times. It's very strong, stronger than gym bedroom, gives the attack less sort of avenues to get picks. Either way, they clearly saw something they weren't happy with, as now Guturo will be on this glass, and not for long, as Rolo just beheads him immediately right in front of our free cam. Well, that seems like the main part of the strategy gone. You've still got the Ying, but that's a very two-way thing now.
Yeah. No rush coming. Actually, didn't know that. He just pushed in. He's just there. They're actually going for it. Quarter finds his kill with a shotgun. Someone also trying to find that engagement. They've managed to clear out the whole side. Look at this. No defender left on side, and Shox finds a mission. Rolo pushing up the main stairs. He's in a vital position. That shotgun might be outranged here in this gunfight, but JJ also going to take a lot of damage, and the shotgun just coming in. That's so disrespectful. He's just jumping on them and gets knifed though by Rolo, who's going to be downed in return, while JJ tries to pick a fight here with the Mirror of Logistics. Shox, he's ready for it. He takes it and he finds it, taking the last kill, and despite Glass going down, they went for that. That was the peak of the name. They said, Feuer frei. We are going in.
Yep. And honestly, I think that's the second round we've seen today on Clubhouse where teams have kind of had a bit of an opening pick on that gym attack and decided, let's go for it. Let's go through this breach. And it's worked both times, sort of puzzlingly there. I'm not really sure how SSP let that slip away, how the calls weren't made sooner that an Armory was in, that a Thermite was in on top main. You'd think that information would be relayed immediately to get these roamers back towards the site, but that clearly didn't happen. So Feuerfrei, they're looking to get this to overtime here. SSP have been scared back into the basement defense here. They can still win it out now, basement being a very strong site. But Feuerfrei, if they just change up the way they play on this attack here, they could easily take it, bring in more of those sort of nade operators, bring that Ying again to just easily sort of suppress these defenders here. Because if they can do that, then overtime might be the sort of morale boost they need to get it over the line.
Yeah, we're getting a very good look at that webcam right now. About to see in every ranked game. Basement doesn't look like these guys are going for a turtle. Looking at this operator lineup, also looking at the side setup that has barely been done so far. But yeah, we see everything being ready and prepared up here to fight the roam clear very aggressively. We're gonna see if Feuerfrei opts to go for a full roam clear or if they want to go for something more direct here, perhaps. Yes, Rexus. We have 3 roamers top floors. I think it's Wamai, Morzi, and the Valkyrie here, with probably Legion more being like a connecting operator holding this middle floor, and then Southpark just holding down the side. But it feels like they're rotating down very quickly. They're already down on the first floor.
Yeah, they haven't really been poked or prodded by Feuerfrei either there. They just, I guess, assumed that it's no longer safe ground. They want to be a bit closer to the site here. Emission holding down the bar here. I'm not sure if Modo is open, so he might very much just be playing his life here once again to waste some time, as escape will be very, very difficult here, as Feuerfrei are finally tackling what they think is a top floor roam here, but there's no one up there. A bit of simple drone work will confirm that, and they can very quickly take this ground. There might be potential for vertical nitro cells, but at the very least, no bodies on that top floor. Feuerfrei just need to figure that out and just hit the go button, really. Get inside the map. Get towards bar. Get towards a mission, because right now they are very much just wasting time.
Yeah, TikTok goes the clock, and it's 136 against a non-existent top floor roam. You really need to start moving here, clearing out this middle floor right now. You don't want to start clearing out the bottom floor with 40 seconds. One good thing you're seeing is an open barhead, but one bad thing you're seeing is Skylar being taken out, at least not finding a kill, while Mission takes on quarter in return. Going for the next pick and even finding it. That's the mission we've been looking for all the match. The star player, the EUL player, taking the fight, bringing his ego and confidence against all of these Feuerfrei players, and that might be a triple kill on match point. Emission looking incredibly strong as he's gonna get taken down though, with the Nazi having a huge task ahead of him. 1v3, he's at least almost full life, as one heartbeat charge in his pocket. It's not impossible, but it's gonna be a miracle if he makes this happen.
At the very least, he has that hard breach charge. He can get that patch open. If he wins this, I'd imagine that would be a very good morale boost heading into OT. But first, he has to win it, and that's far easier said than done here. With no pre-placed vertical play here, he's already going to give away his position. Shots are exchanged onto Rollo, though, who's brought down decently low, but Donati still can't really find an inlet. Now, choosing to go for that tunnel. Luckily for him, already open, so he doesn't make any extra sound entering it, but still got a lot of picks his way. Reaxis is retreating back, making him go towards this kind of sharp angle outside the tunnel. And with no time and potentially more goo needles here, it's going to make things even more difficult. He has to peek into a 3-way gunfight here. Can't even get the first. Rollo takes him out with a super shorty, and SSP get their first win, I believe.
definitely a good performance from them. They were looking shaky, but they pulled it back. They turned it around, and especially in the last round, we saw Emission come in. The hero they needed when they needed him the most.
Yep.
When it looked like Feuerfrei was actually maybe pulling it to overtime, no. There comes in the Q1 player to get a 3K on the roam. It was a good attempt. It was a close fight. I'll keep coming back to what I said earlier. We're like, you see the potential with Feuerfrei. And I don't want to call it potential since they've already shown the potential. It's not potential. You see their strength. We've seen the 2022 Feuerfrei. I keep seeing that. But it's just buried between timing issues, between opening deaths, between lacks of refrags. And Mino SSP looking good in the first match, in my opinion.
Looking absolutely fantastic there. It's just, I guess it's just a bummer that they've already lost those 2 matches to forfeits there. This is their technically second win, but with KT being disqualified and disbanding, everyone is technically sitting on 1 win. So they're still finally getting an additional 1 on the board that they've actually earned. They've earned in very good fashion. It was a very team-based effort there. Obviously, Emission getting that quad in the final round is something towards it, but still, they wouldn't get in that position without the rest of the team firing off on all cylinders. So it was a very good look from SSP, a very good start. And this is really the beginning of them trying to claw back a group stage that has been affected by forfeits, affected by server issues, and seeing if they can get a good spot after all of it, because they've still got some crucial matches left, I believe. They've still, I believe, are against Calories at one point, so if they can get some points off of Calories, that would be great. The ones they've... Oh, never mind. They forfeit lost against Calories and to Blue Jays, the current top 2. So everyone else still on the table here. After beating Feuerfrei, I could easily see them taking points, even a whole game off of Unlimited. Ice Force isn't in the clear either there, so SSP could definitely sort of rack up a list of kills in this group.
Yeah, if you want to take forfeits against any teams, it's going to be Calories and Blue Jays Talents in this case.
Yeah.
So they are not. It's not that pessimistic looking into the future. They still have a good amount of possibilities to pull it back, even though they're fighting through obstacles, forfeits, the server disconnects. Everything is still in the hand for them. With that being said, that was it with the last game. You can kind of have a look at the past results, I think, in the second tier. We had a 4-7 to start out with, Unlimited being beaten by Calories. A good start by the Calories, then Unlimited almost coming back, and then Calories closing out just like this game. Clubhouse kind of always plays out the same, right?
Yeah. It's very much a sort of even matchup there based on who can really, I'd say, which playstyle really works out. Obviously, you had a bit of a clash of styles towards that second half of actually, it turned out SSP playing a lot more team-based and Feuerfrei kind of depending on those individual plays. And ultimately, it was just SSP winning out there with just a better team play overall. Clubhouse, though, still does fall even. It allows for a variety of play styles to work, but ultimately, it was SSP getting those 7 rounds that they need.
Yeah, and match 2 was a bit clearer. We saw Ice Force versus Moon and the Reds, and it went very predictable, in my opinion, at least. We saw, Moon and the Reds showing the kind of ranky, peaky play style in the first round, taking 3 good shots against Ice Force. But as soon as they got to bank attacks and executes, it kind of fell apart. Ice Force really running away with it.
Yeah, and then heading on to that third map, we just saw it very similar to map 1 in the sense of it started off quite even, and then the second half began to sort of run away with it. So a good start for SSP. For Feuerfrei, the problems are still arising. It looked like they might have broken out of that rut when they beat Ice Force last week. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to keep that going yet. So they've still got ways to improve, as we've said. Their talent, more than just talent, is there. They have got more than potential. They've taken 5 rounds off SSP, but they still haven't gotten the win against them. And that's what ultimately matters. Obviously, round differential plays a part, but points are far, far more important. And unfortunately for Feuerfrei, they walk away from today with 0. So it's just these small kind of margins on that match that allowed for SSP to get all 3. So a great start for them, but for Feuerfrei, they're still very much in a slump.
Yeah, it's the cruel reality of best of 1s, best of 3s. Even if it's very close, at the end of the day, if you don't make overtime or they won't get even 2 or 1 point, it's just 0 points for you. You get some round difference, and you get maybe a small light that you can see of, we can win these rounds, we can fight these teams. but you're going to have to get these points in the later matches. And for both SSP and for FI, there's a rough road ahead of them. Meanwhile, looking at Moon Reds, Ice Force, Unlimited, and Calories, those are looking much better right now.
Yeah. So with that, we end this playday. We've still got quite a bit left of the group stage, only playday 4 so far, so plenty of matches in the coming weeks. I've been Poobel, joined by Disper. We've got our Twitter handles below our wonderful faces here, and if you fancy a bit of a late night, because I imagine most people here are European, you can go and cheer Disper's team Wildcard on at the quite early time of 2 a.m. in the NAL, so show some love in the chat for them when eventually it gets to that match. I'm not sure when it will actually start, but if you fancy a bit of a late night, go and check them out. Cheer on the boys.
Introducing Everest, the world's first customizable and premium mechanical keyboard experience. When designing Everest, we wanted to bring an uncompromised, highly personalized product to the market. We offer you maximum freedom of choice. Let us show you how. Comprised of CNC milled double aluminum faceplates, you'll immediately see and feel the exceptional build quality. Feature-packed, Everest includes a modular media dock and magnetic numpad with programmable color display keys, hot swappable mechanical switches, RGB illumination, and a magnetic palm rest. The media dock with display dial allows you to control your media, adjust and easily switch profiles, check your system info, and more. It will also feature indicator LEDs. No matter if you're a lefty or require the numpad to be on the other side of the keyboard for macro purposes, gamers rejoice. Everest can make it so. Everest isn't just for gamers. It's designed with flexibility and freedom of choice at heart, making it the perfect keyboard for designers, illustrators, editors, and all professional users. Create profiles that remap your keyboard to have your most frequently used commands conveniently bound to keys of your choice. Optimize your workflow every day. Take your performance to the next level. We don't believe in one size fits all. Our highly modular design makes Everest just right for you. With countless personalized numpad, media dock, and palm rest configurations, Everest can be completely custom tailored to fit your needs. Everest supports you on your ascension to peak performance and matches your style.
Hi, I'm Tobias, founder of Mountain. There are a lot of good keyboards on the market, but nothing that truly allows you to completely customize your individual preferences. We've changed that. Using only the finest materials, Mountain's unique design and modularity enables you to create unparalleled level of personalization. We've created a unique product for mechanical keyboard enthusiasts, gamers, streamers, and creative people alike. The Everest keyboard can be what you want, when you need it, through ultimate freedom of choice. You now have the opportunity to be one of the first to get your hands on the most sophisticated feature-packed keyboard ever made. Thank you for supporting us.
Reach your summit with Mountain.